but I got fucking a belch coming. I'll probably there we go. At least something like that. I gotta release.
And comp man and on and comp tan.
All right, so we are getting. I think that should be good enough for test. We are say words. Words.
Words. I'm an
Word.
Say words.
There
we go. I got
words.
All right.
Am
Cool,
I
yeah.
being detained?
Mutualists are half and cap and com.
We will have that conversation.
Right.
I really
No,
want to have.
Kevin tells me I'm right. Kevin's a mutualist. You're wrong.
I want to have that convo. I think that'd be interesting.
Kevin's a mutualist. He says he's both.
This is false advertising. You said you were ANCAP man and ANCAP stan.
Kevin does. I'm not Kevin.
In person.
Kevin, my boy.
So, this will be a stream. It should be a relatively good-natured thing, probably, you know, because there's nothing that is more good-natured than libertarians having a conversation about the Libertarian Convention. That never goes wrong. It'll be fucking. Consensually or not, we don't know yet.
Oh my God.
So the
it better be consensually.
Yeah, otherwise we're just statists. You know that's what we should do. We should market like we should be anti-rape activists and use like you're a statist if you rape. That'll get all the libertarians on board.
Work.
Yeah. Anyway, so with that nice introduction, that's very sure to not alienate anybody. The stream should be relatively good. We got some people who were there, some people who were not there, and some people who were there in spirit, Teen Spirit, Nirvana. Hody was watching via Strom. Rose, Eli, I think is his name. That's how you pronounce it, or is it Ellie? Eli?
Eli.
Bryce and Kareem were there. Bread is anti-fascist, so valued input for some of this thing. But let's get started with somebody who has not yet been on the channel as far as I'm aware. Eli, go ahead and intro yourself. Say what words you say about you.
All right, so I changed my background just for Kareem here. So one of us is an Ancapistan at least. So I am basically, I work as a game developer. I'm a lead level designer at a studio that I'll let them have their privacy for now, not dox them. I used to drive a truck. I had a kidney tumor that was cut out. I run the Thought Atlas podcast, although it hasn't posted a video in like 2 years. The idea was to actually read bills instead of just comment on them and stuff. So I believe in a relatively like just barely on the other side of the fence version of minarchism, where I want to basically remove parts of the state until we break something and then put it back until we figure out how to remove it anyway.
Makes sense.
So that's where I was coming from. This year I wasn't planning on being a delegate, but Kareem called me up at the last minute. I got it as an alternative. So we'll do a round of like opinions about various topics later. So that's just my introduction.
So wait, did you get to sit as a delegate, or were you stuck having to sit way in the back with the other?
I got stuck having to wait, and then I got stuck having to sit in the pit and then also wait because we did 7 rounds of votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a saying.
So let's go then to Hody, and then Kareem, and then Bryce is gonna come in a little bit later. He's got he's at Vjörk, so he'll be listening to the Strom and getting the information to respond to, and all that should be a thing. And then so we'll go Hody, Kareem, Rose, Bread.
Hi guys, I'm Hody Johns. You know, I should probably introduce like something new about myself every time. That way the repeat people have like something fun to listen to.
Yeah.
So in light of our last of Eli here, I will say I am a writer and editor. I work for Game Rant, The Gamer, yeah, and I guess Valnet, those companies or whatever. So I write, I review video games, I do guides, I do top 10 lists, that kind of thing. And my big thing is I have an extremely Christian perspective, especially when it comes to politics and anarchy, and that's me. Politics.
Yeah, and you know, you can tell I'm somewhat of a gamer myself. So, fucking, it may or may not be like my religion. So, the okay, we should talk at some point. I think that would be an interesting stream. Libertarians video games, like libertarian and video games, sort of how that meshes, how what games like really trigger that freedom sense. I think that'd be an interesting. Kareem.
Ooh.
The Empire in Warhammer believes in freedom and free speech, and they're the most anarchist ANCAP one ever. The Emperor's a nice guy. No, not really. So I'm Kareem. I was a delegate for PA for most of the conference until I went to Hike with Luke in the Woods, which was fun. Also doing Anarch Unity, which I'm going to pick back up now I'm done with all this stuff. And you can also find me on Twitter, Kareem6633. I've done my research on everything. I am Mises, but I took into consideration policy stuff and everything that's going on. Talked to my friend TJ, and looking to volunteer on the Chase Oliver Termott campaign. Even though I don't agree with some stuff, that's fine. I'm still playing the political game for now.
Rose.
So I'm Rose. You all probably know me by now. I'm an anarchist without adjectives, part-time big L libertarian. Spent several days of my life in a massive dumpster fire that was the Libertarian National Convention. Also, Renegade Mises Caucus, just like Kareem.
All right. Bread.
Hi, I'm Bread. I'm really bad at introductions. I don't know, I guess I'm drawn to this entire subject and everything because I used to be a big L with everybody else, and I'm kind of the disenfranchised, washed out LP person that got angry, flipped everybody off, and walked out. And, so, like, I mean, I guess I've always been anti-fascist and stuff like he said, but, like, here, I have an emotional attachment to this shit still, even though I probably shouldn't.
You should come back, Brad.
No, I'll never.
I've toyed with doing that.
Never.
I haven't had the right moment
I
to
can't.
do it dramatically. To
Give
just
you a chance.
dramatically quit and flip everyone
Well,
off.
there's
Give-
good little L within the big L still, and those little L's I'll still help. I'm still there for. I ache for their struggles right now with what's going on. And like I feel like a lot of them are mourning a lot lately, and with good reason and stuff. It's really rough on people.
We have a special running, Bread. We'll give you chickens, one class in horizontal.
Yeah, so I'm just
democracy.
this bleeding heart, angry ex-libertarian. Bleh.
If you
But
guys
you'll
haven't
come back
seen it,
someday. We
Kareem,
like
we
you.
should-
No,
You're still libertarian.
There is no
That can
political
just that
solution
Libertarians
for
are
us.
anarchists.
So,
Yeah.
so Kareem,
There's
someday
no
we should show
political
them
solution.
the John Waldenberger clip of him walking out.
Oh,
Oh, that guy. Yeah,
John
I got
Waldenberger.
that with him on Facebook, and he blocked me.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe he likes you.
I'd be interested in seeing
No,
that.
no,
That'd be
he's a
interesting.
moron. He's
You should
a
ask him out.
classy moron.
So we should let Reed finish. I didn't mean to derail everybody.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. When we're actually discussing practical topics, I try to keep people, no crosstalk and that sort of thing. But it gets chaotic here sometimes. It's not always going to be just like, hey, here's your 5 minutes. You want some 5 minutes? So I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't even say that. Oftentimes, doesn't even have rails. Like the train is just sort of like magleving to wherever it goes. But yeah, welcome to the stream, Eli. I feel like we've been on a stream before, but I don't remember where, so it's probably Kareem's. But either way,
We were on Kareem's once, and then we were on Leighton's once.
Yeah. Was that the Malay one he deleted?
No, it was the one where he kicked you off.
Ah, okay.
He actually
Oh, dear.
deleted it.
Yeah, apparently there was a
Unbelievable.
child predator on his stream, and instead of like blurring the face, he deleted it forever.
Oh, he froze.
Oh yeah, apparently there was a.
Oh my god! Because he said he had to explain a bunch of backstory to me, and then that never we never got a chance to have him do that.
He's
I remember this.
He apparently said that like he said this in his fucking like cry stream about the fucking shit that came up. That apparently there was a child predator in the thing, and like that would be a time to call that person out. You keep the stream up. You put that in the disclaimer, and then you say, "Don't have this person on your show." You don't keep it hush. That's whatever. This isn't a fuck Leighton stream. I do not want it to become.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, I like Leighton. He's my
that's
co-host.
a damned if you
dude.
do, damned if you don't
I'm not talking
situation.
any
Because people
crap
will
on
criticize you for keeping it up. They'll also
Yes.
criticize you for
Leighton
deleting
did the
it.
right
So, like,
thing.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah,
Leighton did the right thing. He's a good dude. He's a good co-host, just like you are.
I
He's an ANCAP man.
If-
ANCAP stand.
If I find out somebody I had on my stream is not a good person, like the very least I would do is download a copy, like blur it in hit film and then re-upload it. That's my style. But yeah, I not everybody has to do what I do. I'm not gonna make this a fuck Leighton stream. That's not the point of this.
Leighton's a good guy. I'm
I was
not
gonna-
gonna.
I was going to say, speaking of people that may or may not be good people, the guests at the LNC.
Yeah, yeah, right. So
Which type am I?
Uh,
Putting the new guy on the spot here.
Oh, I
I'm
don't
alright.
know.
Okay, I got a brain worm.
so
Guys.
Eli, did you meet Rose at the convention, or did you guys not talk at all?
He looks weirdly familiar, so I'm sure we crossed paths, but we never have spoken.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's start then. Let's start with one of the basic things that happened. The drudgery of the repeated meetings and the repeated votes that weren't necessary to repeat. Right? If I understand correctly? Anybody can go first.
Oh, so the how many times must we teach you this lesson votes is what
Yeah.
I'm calling them? Well, okay, that was Friday. So there were these challenges to some delegates. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the situation. From what I understand, with the Michigan delegates, they had their convention, and then I guess after business hours or something, a bunch of alts were appointed, and the bylaws were apparently very unclear as to whether they were valid alts who should be promoted to delegate or not. And I guess it varies according to the source, obviously, and that's why there was this challenge, but they were all Mises Caucus haters, so the Mises Caucus leadership had reason to want to not seat them. Now, again, I don't really... Yeah, I guess state parties should follow their bylaws, but at the same time, if you go back and comb through any state's bylaws or any state's state convention, you can probably find something that was done slightly out of order or some loophole in their bylaws. So I'm very hesitant to be okay with the idea that you should be able to, that the LNC should be able to eliminate one state's delegates, because that will definitely be misused in the future.
Yeah, like, okay, so...
I mean, when I originally put in my name as an alt, and I did that after the convention had concluded, because originally I did not run as a delegate because I didn't think I was going to be able to make it down to convention.
Yeah.
After our state convention, I had, some people giving me ideas. I had one presidential candidate actually offer to help pay for my trip. So I put in my name. I'm like, I decided I'd like to be an alt if you need me. I did that after the convention had concluded too. So if that's what happened in Michigan, it just seems like that's a pretty normal thing.
So what happened, as far as I know, this is my understanding of the situation, and actually, I'm gonna DM some folks to see if they're interested in coming on, because it'd be fucking hilarious if they could. I think this, but so my understanding of the situation is that the Michigan fucking Libertarian Party, most of them didn't like Mises Caucus and told them to fuck off. The vote was constantly sabotaged by leadership, and eventually the party was basically couped. That affiliate was basically couped from the inside by people who wanted to hijack the affiliate because they didn't get their way. And then eventually, after that happened, the official Libertarian Party leadership organization, the Central blah blah, they sued them, the new people who broke off into their new affiliate, for intellectual property violations, because they used the fucking torch symbol. And so after that cunt bullshit got pulled, basically they kept on pushing, and they broke off with their own Twitter, and that's at MI Libertarians on Twitter, and they broke off with their own social media until eventually the thing came to a head with a temporary restraining order, because if you're gonna use the court against me, I might as well use it against you kind of mentality. So the Michigan Libertarians people, Angela, I forget her last name, but the other Angela, not McCardle.
Angela McCardle?
Yeah, it's like Angela TC on Twitter, I think it was. I forget her name right. Actually, I think Angela Thornton. Like a bunch of people in the Michigan Libertarian Party fucking got involved, and fucking filed a temporary restraining order, and the people in the judge in Michigan ruled, quote, the decision of the Judicial Committee of the Libertarian Party of Michigan, issued on or about May 18th, 2024, purporting to invalidate the election of 27 delegates to the 2024 Libertarian Party National Convention, was rendered outside of the scope of proper authority of the Judicial Committee, and was not based on any plausible reading of the bylaws of the Libertarian Party of Michigan. Plaintiffs have demonstrated the immediate and irreparable injury will result in if immediate relief is not granted, and that absent the issuance of a TRO, temporary restraining order, they will be denied the opportunity to serve as delegates to the National Convention, despite being elected to so serve. Plaintiffs have also demonstrated that the delay required to effect notice will result in immediate and irreparable injury, given the decision of the Judicial Committee was made and released on a timetable that would, absent the issuance of a TRO, prevent meaningful judicial review. Accordingly, it is ordered that the defendant, Ziemba, shall, within 1 hour of receipt of this order, and no later than 10 a.m. on Thursday, May 23rd, 2024, resubmit the names and addresses of the individuals listed on Exhibit C to the complaint in this case to the National Convention Credential Committee, thereby recertifying that the individuals on the list are the official delegates and alternate delegates of the Libertarian Party of Michigan. It is further ordered... Whenever I read this kind of shit, I sound vaguely like Bernie Sanders, because, I'm trying to read fast, but, it is further ordered that once the defendant, Ziemba, resubmits the original list as required above, the defendants are prohibited from submitting any other document to the National Convention Credential Committee that purposes to overturn, invalidate, or modify that submission until a hearing can be set and conducted on the issue of whether a preliminary injunction should issue. It is further ordered that given the timing of the credentialing process for the National Convention this upcoming weekend, there is insufficient time to schedule a showcase hearing for the issuance of a preliminary injunction, and because such a hearing therefore would be moot, none will be scheduled by the court. It is further ordered that upon filing of the answer by all defendants, the matter will be set for a scheduling conference in the ordinary course of the court's docket, as the issue of declaratory relief regarding the authority and judicial review of the decision of the Judicial Committee remains a live case in controversy. And this is the final part. It is further ordered that any violation of this order shall be punishable as contempt of court.
Right. That was the last I heard prior to heading off for convention. And then that's what led to the shit show that was the Friday business session, or what was supposed to be the business session. Literally the entire day was just, voting on whether or not to seat delegates and having to retake the vote 10 freaking times.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course...
Jeremy, you're from
What?
Jeremy's from Vermont, and he doesn't want to tell people about deep ecology. What is this?
Yeah, right.
You're bad leftist.
So, fucking then they tried to last minute yikesy surprise with the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin, but I'm gonna wait until Bryce is on to really delve into that, because Bryce is from Wisconsin.
He would know more about that than me.
We got to get the cheese man in here.
But yeah.
So it sounds to me the main, so under normal circumstances, I would say that I would normally be fine if a state has like 10 delegates and they bring 10 delegates, and for whatever reason those delegates had to change, like because someone couldn't make it, whatever, they weren't on the list, now they're on the list. It'd be nice to see them have a procedure that says, hey, replace them with maybe previous delegates or something. Like I wasn't on the list, I had to be voted in, it was 7/8. But the one part of that, as read, that sounds like a problem is that they're saying they have to submit the original list of delegates. So it sounds like something might have happened where they replaced delegates in a procedure that may have been improper, but I don't know any of the details. But that's the kind of part I'd like more information on.
So okay, what they're saying is the list of delegates is voted by the party like members that the Mises Caucus doesn't like and tried to invalidate. So basically, like the Mises Caucus came in, like not all of them, just to be clear, but certain elements of the Mises Caucus came in and decided that that they were going to overturn the Michigan decisions, and like 2/3 of the people there, like basically turned it into an unrepresentative organization and say, your list of delegates isn't real. Here's our list of delegates. And so the new list of delegates was the one the people who were basically trying to do a coup were putting forward in their list, and they were throwing away the 27 that were originally there as voted by 2/3 majority. So the court said, give us those 27 back. There's no reason logically that you could read the bylaws and say that this isn't allowed. That's what that was.
Right.
What was the purpose of all of that anyways? Like, were they just trying to like did they have a legitimate reason for all of this, or do you think that people were just trying to throw their weight?
Yeah, well, again, there's a lot of
debate that's not a legitimate reason.
There's a lot of debate over whether or not they were actually legitimate. Problem is, they completely failed to read the room. Like, we went in there and most of the people saw this as, like, maybe it was because we were not given the full backstory, which I think should have been done prior to the start of business. But people saw this as a blatant power grab. It was a terrible look for the Mises Caucus, and as time went on, people just became more and more angry at them, and people who might have voted for them were just kind of being conditioned to automatically vote against anything they suggested.
I think.
I mean, the overall atmosphere was that, fuck you. We are sick of having to repeat these votes. Just seat all the delegates so we can get on with business. But it kept being dragged out. Like, votes were repeated like 5 times. We had to do standing, counted votes.
So, real quick, I have Reinhold in the chat saying simply the word no, but he's free to elaborate, because I don't know, like, no isn't very descriptive.
Okay.
And there's a message that got removed as well, but I don't know. Yeah. Type more words. No isn't good enough. Anyway, go ahead, Rose. You were saying words?
Oh, no, that was pretty much it.
Okay.
For now.
I mean, for me, this is the most corrupt move I've ever seen by any LNC. By leaps and bounds, and I think about half of the Mises Caucus agrees. This was absurd. Again, when you and I don't, like, the law for me is not like morality matters, right, more than the law. But when the law looks at it, like, and is just like, it's obvious these people are in the right and you're just trying to disenfranchise them. Okay, it's not like the federal government wants our like party to be functional. They do rulings like this when it's very obvious, right? So then the issue was, after trying to invalidate very valid people, after suing them and taking money to sue them for the last couple of years because they're anti-LPMC. There's absolutely no other reason. Like I said, they followed their bylaws. You can interview these people. They're very public. The court documents are there, even beyond this one, where you can look up and just be like, oh my goodness, you guys weren't even close to right. Then they try to invalidate other delegates. Karen Ann Harlos did warn them. She was like, hey, if you guys don't have your bylaws shored up, we're going to try to invalidate your delegates, kind of thing. Like, she didn't say that directly, but of course was like, if you don't shore it up, you know, I'm just saying something might happen. So they try to invalidate like New Mexico and Wisconsin and all kinds of stuff. Once again, courts on the phone, people stepping in, people being like, no, this is completely against your own bylaws. This is kind of against the regular laws too. So it was an absolute clown show. Like I said, I welcome what Bryce has to say about it, but I from reading the court documents and listening to it, it was absolutely the most corrupt thing I have ever seen any LNC try to do. These delegates that they tried to invalidate were not even like controversial. They were just like, it wasn't one of those like, oh, maybe there was kind of like a weird situation of some kind. If you were going to apply this rule, you would have taken delegates from California, like way lower hanging fruit, like delegates from Kentucky, way lower hanging fruit as far as sketchy with the bylaws. This was absolutely a power grab. It was very obvious. Even the LPMC booed it. I think, what was it, Chatterton that was doing Michael Heiss's bidding before finally Michael Heiss got on the Discord and was like, hey, we got to stop because like I'm finally reading the room and it's not going to work out. This was ridiculously corrupt, and I cannot believe, like, honestly, I would disassociate immediately if I was in the LPMC. Like, if I was in a group that attempted to do that, if Sarwark did this, you would be absolutely apoplectic, and you absolutely should be.
No, I actually burst out laughing when I saw that Discord message from Michael Heiss, because it was after 5 p.m. if I recall correctly. By that
about point, fucking time.
Yes, I'm like, this was evident pretty much from the time everyone sat down. Like, did you not read the room until now? Like, everyone was against you. You were automatically, as one person pointed out in the Discord pretty early on, they're like, we're just kind of conditioning all the neutrals to vote against us on reflex. This is going to cost us in the coming days.
And I don't even think reading the room is important. It's we were there. If we're following the bylaws, it's what the bylaws say. If you don't like the bylaws, change them. Mm-hmm. But if that's the rules, I mean, that's the rules. Like, because I don't think there's anything wrong with taking an unpopular decision on opinion, but it's not. This doesn't seem. I'm just gonna give you guys the benefit of the doubt because I don't know, but it seems to me, based on the testimony here, that everybody kind of agrees that this was not really a subjective matter. There was a ruling. It was decided, like, better luck next time.
Yeah, 2/3. Like, if you want to say that representative politics works, and then you want to say vote for my shit so that we can, like, fucking wreck the regime or whatever, and then you want to tell me that 2/3 of the fucking party don't matter, fuck you. I don't give a shit.
I was worried about the precedent being set there. Like, okay, maybe the Michigan LP had some issues. I mean, we know, like, I read some of their bylaws. There were some that were very vague, so that's why I think it was so unclear whether or not these delegates were legitimate. But I strongly suspect if these had been all pro-Mises caucus delegates, that we wouldn't have had that whole thing happen.
I mean, for Heiss, it probably goes back to the PA delegation of what is it, like 2020 or 2019 or whatever, when they basically declared everyone that he brought invalid and didn't let them have a say.
Oh, because they had that really weird loophole in their bylaws that I don't think any other state party had, where out-of-state people could show up to their convention and vote, which was ridiculous, and they removed that.
Yeah, the next year they removed that, and I was there for that too.
Yeah,
and at that convention, I forget if it was at that convention or at Reno. At some point, they tried to claim that like Heiss had violated the party's bylaws and then completely remove his membership.
Right, yeah. No, I've seen this before. Like, this was used when the Mises Caucus, before they had control of the party. These sorts of tactics were wielded against them. So I guess that's why it just really rubs me the wrong way, seeing them use these same tactics now that they're in control of the party. I mean, I guess that's how the game is played, but I'm like, this is just really bothering me. I feel like we should, if we're going to retain control of the party, it should be because we're principled and we make people want to support us, not because we're willing to weaponize these sorts of legislative tricks or parliamentary tricks.
Yeah, Reinhold adds...
The problem is
Go.
that people are, and they do, and this is not new. This is not the first time this has happened or anything like that. This is a continuation.
Yeah. No, it's true.
This is... Reinhold adds, they also added Karen Ann Harlows and Malagon to the Credential Committee the week before convention.
I mean, I don't know what the rules are on that. But
the secretary was... I didn't think the secretary would have to be added. I thought the secretary was on most of the committees.
Hody probably has something to say on that.
Probably.
Oh, it was ridiculously obvious. Malagon is one of the most hated person, even, again, in the LPMC. Partisan, like, just... If you want bad optics, ask Adrian Malagon how to do it. He will get you suited up. He knows how to do it better than anybody else. And
go on a hot mic.
He was already quitting. Right, he got caught on a hot mic being a piece of crap. He was like, Ovens, you've contributed nothing, while using a photograph of himself taken by Ovens. What an absolute moron. That thing is like obviously terrible, awful scumbag of a person. But he was an LPMC hack. I believe he had submitted, like, he was going to resign anyway. And so the easy way for them to do this was to be like, listen, this is not only unpopular, it's illegal. So what are we going to do? Like, whoever does this is going to be somebody who has no respectability and no electability whatsoever. We need, like, somebody who can throw into the bus. And of course you find Malagon, because he's like, sure. Is it doing something terrible to screw over whoever is against me? Sure. And so they add him to the committee. This is one of those moves that there is no real room for, if you see this, that, or the other. This was a terrible thing, and if you just can't outright condemn it, you don't understand the situation.
Malagon,
even the U.S. legal system is like, no, this is obvious.
So I do remember Malagon being added right before convention and thinking that was weird. I'm like, wasn't this guy on his way out? So that's a little weird that they're adding him.
Here's the problem. Well, there's a lot of issues here. So Adrian Morrell's gone, as you can call him, or if they never arrived. This my issue is what happened after Reno is we had the opportunity to really push the long haul revolution forward.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's not just this. We got stuck in culture war stuff. We got stuck on the Malay stuff, even though Malay hasn't really done anything, except, in my opinion, cut some government stuff and regulations. But overall, it's been kowtowing to imperialist NATO powers, which is not good. And then on top of that, anyone who criticized Mises, they kicked them out. They blocked them. They didn't listen to their issue. That's not good. That's what the old guard was doing. We went from new guard to old guard, new boss. It's like that meme. You saved us. I wouldn't say saved, more like under new management. And the issue is now then they have that feeling we can push and do whatever we want. Well, no, the bylaws exist for a reason. I'm not a crazy person on the bylaws. I mean, I know some of them, but Karen Ann's very good with them. But we should have stuck to the bylaws. Getting people like Malagon to do, dirty work is not making us look good. And this is why, I'm still Mises, but I like Michael Heiss. But there is a certain point where you have to say, okay, morally, what am I going to do? And you need to have some fundamental principles and say, hey, if these get violated, I'm not going to do something. And if these do get violated, then I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
And there's certain times I just left or didn't participate because there's so much horsery and goofy stuff going on. I thought, hey, it might be better to network or do something else. rather than participate in something bad, or participate in something that would go against my moral code. So I did the delegate thing. There were some times where it wasn't there, but overall, I think you still use politics as a tool in a tool belt, but that does not negate doing direct action. So I'm going to continue to talk to Cooperation Tulsa. They're starting to post stuff. Aaron is out there. Anarch is out there. If you'll be friends with me after the private property thing, we'll see. And that's what I recommend people doing. Plant a garden. Filter your water. Learn how to use a firearm like Jeremy was doing, even if it's not super proficient.
Yeah,
And,
like this guy's left
somewhere.
This guy's left side was completely destroyed. Like my shots kept on veering a little bit to the right, in like from my perspective, and so like fucking this guy's left side, like his liver and spleen and his left arm.
Gonna have a
just,
good day. No.
Yeah. But yeah, like that was me and not all of those were my shots. Some of those were friends. They got bored like 2 trays from like the rest of the box. So I just blew through those. I got some good practice, though, and I found out that I can, in fact, shoot one-handed. It's just you have to kind of shoot it a little bit to the fuck of the shit so that it, like, your hand off to the things before it... Because otherwise it'll, like, not be on target. It'll be a little bit to the right of the target with your right hand, to the left with your left. Yeah, like, I learned a lot that day. I'm much more proficient with that particular Glock.
That's good.
I would love to have Mad Liberty self-training tactical class with Brett and Liz as instructors.
Yes, that would be very useful.
How to wear armor and
chaotic. That sounds chaotic.
New York State already sucks for guns, but something I would like to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Oiva, why? We'll temporarily move to a funnier subject, because, like, we could talk business doldrum all day. We'll temporarily move to Gummigate.
I mean, there's still 2 new days or 2 full LNC days.
If you vote for me, you get 3%. You always get 3%, but if you vote for me, only if you want to win.
But yes, we can talk about Gummigate.
Only if you want to win.
But, I mean, on Gummigate, I don't have a lot of opinion. I mean, I know some people were saying, well, he was also on mushrooms. I haven't seen any evidence of gummies or mushrooms. Maybe he said something on his own. It seems like almost a non-issue to me.
The gummy was confirmed, not the shrooms.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
seeing him walk off stage, one could I can see why someone might think that shrooms were involved. As far as I know, they were not, unless that gummy had more than just THC in it.
I mean, I personally know Rechtenwald. He's in my county.
Yeah, me too. I spent I got to hang out with him at the LPNY convention. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I really like him. I think he's a cool guy. I think he's very intelligent. I think he has a lot of potential. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just, yeah.
I mean, to me, it almost seems like the libertarian equivalent of I got food poisoning. And I can't imagine the voter that's going to change their vote based on he ate something bad and it, like, messed him up. Now, that being said, I don't think that Rechtenwald was the greatest candidate that we could have put forward, but I think he was probably the best candidate that we did put forward.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot to say about Chase later. I'm sure we'll get to that. I'm just not gonna go there yet.
Well, so we'll get there. But for me, for my money, like, okay, so my brief history with this particular spate of libertarian bullshit.
Like, you've gotten into multiple spats over it.
Me? No. Yeah. Fucking, so the first thing that I'll say is, just to preface this story, He's not a fascist? Is that what you're gonna say? Well, I was gonna not talk about Rec for temporary.
Okay.
But, like, to preface this, I am not accusing Lars of anything. I am merely criticizing how his campaign operates, because Lars is actually a somewhat reasonable person from my understanding. He has reasonable ideas. He has a reasonable, like, affable fucking complexion or whatever. Like, he can talk to you. You can say words to him. But at the same time, yeah, I'm selling him very hard right now. So, but like,
How much is he paying you?
yeah, right.
He sells guys. He also sells guys who are very hard.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, his own business.
If
He never hooked me up with any actresses.
yeah, well, you know, if they stay hard for more than 4 hours. So
Yeah.
just to be super clear, I'm not blaming leadership for this, but the way his campaign was, we are going to scattershot paid ads on social media, and then on social media we are going to use those paid ads as recruitment grounds for group messages. And so I was like, I don't remember why, but I was randomly added to this fucking, well, I'm sure there was method to the madness. I'm not going to say it randomly. I was abruptly added to this group message for Lars. And I didn't fucking ask for that. I was just added, and I was like, well, fine, if you want me here. I'm the cynical asshole who hates everybody, but you can associate with me voluntarily if you fucking want to. And so associate they did for a temporary bit. And I became, like, and this is a quote, their top recruiter for Discord, getting people in their Discord server. And at one point they were even saying they were going to give me a prize for it, and I didn't kind of want
Holy
that
shit.
because it's like, what, you're going to give me a Lars shirt? I don't give a shit. So, like,
I thought you were going to be sent to DC as a delegate, and it would have been hilarious.
It
Then
would-
we'd be rivals.
Oh my god.
it would have been
That would
funny.
have been amazing.
But basically, long story short, it didn't work out. And the reason it didn't work out is because one of the people they randomly added to that group message was a minor, and one of the people they randomly added was a pedophile. And this guy, Broden Star Jacob or whatever, we found his real name, but I'm not going to say it because I think that'd be tacky. The guy, basically, he fucking started to comment on this kid's, quote, juicy ass. And started to be very creepy in public. And so I thought this would be a good time for the Lars campaign to stand for something and to stand against this person. And so I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna make a thread on this situation. The kid came to me for help because I'm, for some reason, like the person a lot of people come to over this sort of shit. Like, so, you know, this guy's gonna expose X bad person and he doesn't care about flack is an accurate statement. So the general thing that happened was I posted my tweet thread. I posted a link to it one link in that group. And because of that, and then not taking shit behind the scenes from Nick Nunnally, I was fucking banned from all their circles. And this was not the first time that I was banned, like chastised for not taking shit. And like, so that campaign was run exceedingly poorly. And I have all the screenshots to prove everything I'm talking about here. If anybody needs receipts, you know me, I got receipts, motherfucker. And so
So
that the
how does
guy
that tie
who's,
into the gummy gate? I mean, that's way better than my negative encounter with Lars. I just asked him what his policy was, and he didn't answer me directly, and then told me to go to his website. Like, you don't know your own platform.
He was good. He joined a Zoom meeting of the New York Mises Caucus, and I got to talk to him. I thought he was nice, but the Nick guy, that was the guy who he's like, I'm gonna hold you accountable if you keep talking about me.
yeah, you
But
saw
how's
the
it tied to
shots.
gummy?
Threatening you
what
or coming on to you.
What I
Yeah,
was
What
curious
does that
about.
even mean?
yeah. I'll maybe I'll cross post the screenshots to Mad Liberty so you can see this fucking clusterfuck.
Oh my god, yeah, you gotta show later.
But like, yeah, fucking, it's asinine. And so, like, the reason I'm bringing that up is because Lars could have been fucking awesome, and his campaign could have been base and coalition-y. But here's the other half
Yeah,
of
he
it.
could have been fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rumor has it his delegates were paid to be there all weekend, so
Eh.
women nice.
I asked him a question, what he thought of a video with 2 females and 1 drinking item, based on his previous expertise, and he said he'll let me know, but he never did.
Well,
So-
he said there was a lot more to that story, but then he said he would talk about it later.
I got a new pet. This
So-
is the Cindy cat.
So
Yeah, you asked in chat what it was, and I'm like, are you talking about the syndicate?
So basically, like to be very clear, I don't blame Lars for this, but the way that campaign ran is they would just add like 50, 100 people at a time to this group message, and these people would often have clashing and budding personalities, and some of them didn't even support Lars. Some of them were RFK people we were told to, tolerate for the purposes of stopping 270. Some of them were fucking Oliver people. Some of them were fucking Trump people. Basically, none of them were Biden people, but, that should, go without saying.
Biden doesn't have people.
Yeah, Biden has lizards. And not lizard Jesus, but yeah.
I'm tired of them putting chemicals in the water.
Yeah, so, the general thing is, it would just be scattershot, and I would routinely have to tell people, because they had a rule. They wanted the Twitter chat to be for something that was not, they wanted it to be focused, and, on Lars stuff. And they had a Discord server with a debate channel if you wanted to talk other stuff. And I had to tell so many grown-ass fucking adults that you should go to the Discord. That's what it's for. This is not for that. And they just wouldn't fucking do it. Mostly RFK
Libertarians,
supporters.
we're autistic.
Are you just one of those people where you join something and you just kind of end up in charge of it without meaning to?
Unfortunately.
Oh man.
You know what that is? That's anarcho.
Yeah.
That's anarcho-monarchism.
Yeah, well,
No, it isn't.
the point
He is. He's a monarch.
the point is that it ended up with me being right a lot about a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people not liking me for it. That was the original reason Broden Star Jacob left the chat before he went and fucking preyed on minors. He said that, no, I won't. I see what you're doing. You're a bully. I'm not gonna go fuck yourself, Broden. So it's like that. It's like so Lars was fucky from my experience. And then I found real strong camaraderie with the messages that Hornberger was saying. I think Hornberger was great, but I couldn't get fucking through to him. I'd be still interested in having a conversation with him if he's down, but I couldn't fucking get through to him. I wanted to have a stream where myself, him, and some other folks talked about the bad messaging and strategy and maybe got some movement on that. But I couldn't get through to him. I messaged him. I tried to message his campaign. I tried to talk to people. Did not end up happening. So it's I think Jacob Hornberger had the best messaging. But
I like him. He was my second choice for candidate.
But he's also 80, so I mean, Chase Oliver's got better appeal to people. You're not 80, Jacob, if you're listening. I'm just, me. If you watch this stream, Jacob, you'll find that I'm a cunt, but I'm a reasonable cunt. So, anyway, yeah, I could see why they made the choices they did. I could even see why they went with Rechtenwald. I just think that they were poor choices for a variety of reasons that I could get into. I just wanted to preface that, and then I'll shut the fuck up because I've been talking for a while. I just wanted to preface that with that in order to say that I'm pretty much... none of the people were really fucking excellent, except Hornberger, I think, before any of this. And now, I'm warming up to Chase, but it's still one of those situations where... I don't think that that campaign wants anything to do with me, even though I'm, one of the most vocally, pro-trans, pro-fucking all that shit, podcast / YouTuber or whatever people you'll interact with. Point is that, generally speaking, I have experience here. In case anybody needed to see my ball sack, that's what that is.
Well, does anyone?
Yeah, right? So
Yeah, I mean, actually, Lars will pay you for that too.
yeah, right? Yeah.
I don't
That's
know,
how he
man.
made
The
his
last time
fortune.
somebody asked me if I wanted to see their balls, I told them not to show me in front of the teenagers, and they called me a pedophile.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that
Oh,
I
God.
saw that. That was wild.
Wait. So
Yeah, and if you
you're
do a really good job, you can do what Andrew Tate said and have 30 kids.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
Oh,
basically,
God. You're gonna ruin my coffee.
Basically, Rose, some motherfucker didn't like the fact that like anarchists might have conversations about anarchy with kids, and so like the guy wanted to prove that his server was an objectionable one, or their server, sorry, was an objectionable one by posting his balls, and when that didn't go over well, he called them pedophiles anyway, even though they just disproved him.
They always do that.
Yeah.
They always
Okay,
do
this is
that.
getting weird.
They're not all
Anyway.
very bright. They're kind of weird.
Anyway, here, my analysis was this.
Yeah,
if I
show
break it down.
us your balls. This is your chance.
No, Kareem. Oh, God.
Yeah, there we go.
This is my
Yeah.
tennis ball.
Turner's burl.
My
That's so
Yeah.
lewd.
Cindy cat. It's a nice cat. It confederates with other cats and gets in cat federation.
Confederates.
It confederates. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then it takes all the cat food in one place and says we will distribute it amongst the collective. Actually, that was probably not a good idea. But my issue was this with Gummygate. I think it did matter a little bit because people were telling me right after it happened, and like people were running around trying to like, let's fix this. I did say to TJ Theodore Koshkin, my issue was this: is the optics. You had regardless of what you think of them, and I don't like particularly that he's a former cop, but Mike Termott and Chase Oliver were at the Trump thing. So there was visibility there. And they were telling him, F off, you're not a libertarian. It was consistent. Well, they were doing that. Rechtenwald, who's a good guy, he's principled, I don't have an issue, but he ate the gummy and then he walked off. And I think it did make a little bit of a difference because Angela did win. So there was enough Mises people there to carry Angela. But unfortunately, Rechtenwald, I guess it just wasn't there. He didn't the energy, and maybe Gummygate was the small thing that may have pushed it over. I can't prove that.
Right,
I don't know.
because
I don't think
know
it
how
was
much you were
sabotage.
following the Discord, but there were
Respectfully.
several people saying that they just after that they just couldn't support him because they didn't see him being able to win, and that they were going to switch to Termott, which
Yes,
I don't
there are a
know.
lot of people who switch to Termott, like Josh Halofka and stuff like that.
Right.
Now, for
Termott's
Termott's too politician for me.
Not that
But-
he ever said anything I particularly disliked. He was just, I don't know, he was that candidate where if I were asked to list all the candidates, he's the one I would forget to list. He just wasn't memorable in any way.
He wasn't an ANCAP man and ANCAP stand. And he didn't have that thing. But here, the fact of the matter is this. Optics, I think it did make a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was betraying Rechtenwald or trying to hate on him. I just libertarians Luke, hung out with him. Sometimes people, when they're on nature walks, you're hanging out, you're doing stuff. Sometimes you like to, take the edge off. And I just think Rechtenwald went too far with that. And somebody gave him something that was a little too potent. And the problem with gummies that I have done myself is I've taken like 10 milligrams. I don't feel it. 20, 30, 40. And I tried to impress someone by taking 60 or 70 at one time.
Don't they take time to kick in?
Yeah, they take time. So
Man, these edibles ain't shit 15 minutes later.
It's like, okay. There's like a picture of a cat, not a Cindy cat, but a cat with balls on it. It's like you took 4 edibles and now you got to concentrate on breathing and not dying. I think he got like that and he just ran off. So I think it did make the small difference. I don't think it was a betrayal. I think people were just messing up. Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. I didn't look at all the internal stuff. As far as Lars, good guy, I think I agree with Jeremy's analysis. He just, crammed everyone, didn't really vet them, which brings, Jacob Hornberger didn't run, Spike didn't run, Dave didn't run, so it brings it to Chase Oliver. I don't think Chase is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I think that there are a lot of problems and there's a lot of things I disagree with. He could definitely be better on the Austrian messaging. I think we can turn that around if we work with him and fix his messaging, fix his perspective on stuff. This is what we got.
Like, rather than throwing temper tantrums, which I criticize some of my fellow Mecox for doing, I'm like, we should be getting involved with his campaign and trying to push it in the right direction.
Yes,
We're
yes,
actually serious about spreading our message. We shouldn't be trying to sabotage him.
Yes.
We can get to the voting thing later, and the fact that we're
I was gonna
for
say
the moment
this.
instructed to vote NOTA by the final round.
The NOTA thing, but I'll get to one last thing. The best thing people can do is post him wearing a mask, one picture, and they keep circulating one picture.
Right.
Guess what? I'm a hardcore anarchist type dude that would take down I would get rid of school boards if I could and just have federal committees. Whether you want to argue that's anarchy is fine, but I think Bookchin's ideas are the best we got in this human 3D sphere. So I wore a mask twice, dentist and the eye doctor. I'm not going to switch my doctors. That's a little bit ridiculous. I just did it because they wanted me and my tooth hurt. And if you have tooth pain, it's not really a fun thing to change dentists. My issue is this. Whether or not he was for these things, people can change. And if he wanted to, there's nothing un-libertarian if you think there's something potentially dangerous to follow rules and say, okay, I'm going to follow whatever guideline. It was a bad idea, maybe, in optics. Like, I didn't follow any CDC guidelines. I just, ran around. But that's one thing. To say he's pro taking the shot and then jump over to Trump, well, Trump pushed out the product. As far as
warp speed, motherfucker. Hey, real quick. Luke Rudowski, if Kareem sends you this stream, please tell Tim Pool he's a fucking cunt bitch for what he said to you on that stream.
I like that.
Oh, God.
Like, Tim Pool going off on you and telling you to shut the fuck up when you were right? Fuck that piece of shit. When you were going off on Trump for warp speed and the original lockdown stuff, you were right. You were right, Luke. You were right. I stand with you, Luke. In that situation, you were right, and he was a bitch. Go ahead.
I like Tim Pool.
You want to suck up a little more?
I like Tim Pool.
I disagree with Luke on a variety of issues. Like, we've argued publicly in the past. But
oh yeah, Kareem, did you get to meet Tim Pool? Because I saw him walk into the bar
Tim
briefly,
Pool,
and
Hannah
walk back
Claire.
out.
Yeah, I got to say hi to him. Not a very long conversation. Eli had a longer conversation with him. I hung out with Luke personally on a nature walk. It was absolutely amazing. Met Phil Labonte, Hannah Claire, Alex Stein. Gave Alex Stein super hot chips. And I have nothing against Tim Pool. I don't.
I have plenty against Tim Pool.
I just disagree with him on some stuff. But to get to the point, to say, is he for? Let's bring out the elephant in the room, and Jeremy can and Brad can weigh in on this. Is he for transing kids? No. He said the government should not be involved. It should be up to the parents. Now, I don't think you should talk to kids about anything until they're like teenagers or adults. That being said, he said it's up to the parents what they want to do with their kids. That is not saying he is pro transing the kids. This is really, really annoying. And to say he's pro open borders, the only borders that should exist are private borders, so we can fix that. He could be better on Austrian messaging and economy stuff. I think that can be turned around if we volunteer to help and do what's better for libertarianism, not just better for our faction. And maybe, just maybe, if we do this early and we get a lot of the issues out there that people want with inflation, that people can't actually live, and he's good on the anti-war stuff. I like that. When I saw we'll make Biden and Trump pay for the war crimes, even though he's not going to win, let's get that message out there. I think that's a good idea, as well as making them pay for putting out a certain product by certain companies in the health sphere.
You don't know. Hey, this channel is this channel. You can say fuck the vaccine pharma companies. You can say, like, I don't, like, my whole deal is this channel, you got to keep within TOS. Like, you can't go be like, I'm going to go bomb a federal building, but you can be like, you know,
well,
pharma.
That would be monetized.
Well, I mean, this was going to be.
And that were probably banned, too.
No, I said you can't say that, though. Any reasonable interpretation. If they're going to ban me for that, they're going to ban me for so much other shit. Like, you don't. Yeah. We don't have to say.
You can go do that in Minecraft.
Yeah. In Minecraft. Minecraft.
You got to make a scale model. But yeah,
me and Brad had a disagreement yesterday. I respect Brad, and I'm still staying in the Mad Liberty. They said they're not booting any LP people. I still think Jeff Berwick said this back in I think it was 2013, 2014. I really like Kokesh and Larkin Rose. And there was a debate. And Berwick said, if we have the political system, we might as well use it. We have it. Chase is there. Not my first choice, not my second choice, maybe my third or fourth. That doesn't matter anymore. This is the reality, as Jack Lloyd would say, living in the real world. This is what I got.
My last experience with Adam Kokesh. My last experience with Adam Kokesh was him having a meltdown because I talked about chili dogs.
Yeah, I don't like what he's been doing.
Adam Kokesh. There's a long list of reasons.
I'm not endorsing Kokesh. All I'm saying is, if we have a political system, it exists in this 3D reality. I'm going to use it as long as it exists until it becomes local.
Did you find out what the chili dogs were made of? Because that would at least be understandable.
They never find out until it's too late. So
by then they're under your control.
Yeah, right.
So I'm gonna volunteer on his campaign. I'm probably gonna vote for him. I'm gonna keep waiting to see who says what. I had Libertarians go for RFK. I'm less offended by that. But Libertarians trying to go for Trump, I guarantee you, with all the sales stuff I've seen, I'll put a Libertarian in my cabinet. Libertarians should want local government, not federal. And last thing I'll say, this dude's a grifter. He's trying to get Nikki Haley back, who insulted him and is writing messages on bombs. That being said, that's all I got. I know Eli probably has different
let me just say three things, and then I'll go to Eli, and then I'll go to Brett. I'm going to say three quick things. The first thing is the Chase Oliver 2024 account was run by Dennis, a notorious troll on Twitter. It was a fake account, and that was the account that tweeted
Dennis.
That was the account that tweeted the age of consent is too damn high. That was a lie. It was a lie. And yeah. So Dennis got a bunch of right-wing cunts to expose themselves as willing to spread a lie. The second thing that I'll say is it's definitionally and demonstrably a lie, because if you look up 18 consent on Twitter from the actual account, the only tweet that shows up for that surge is, I absolutely support the age of adulthood at 18 and the age of consent. Saying otherwise would be 100% false. That's his position. Not that it's too damn high. So nobody who reposted that did any research. But that doesn't matter, because a lot of the people involved in this are lying cunts and parts of the fascist machine who do not care about truth or reality. They just want their cheap reposts, their cheap gibs, their cheap dopamine. They don't give a shit if it's true or not. And that's the only reason that screenshot spread around, because of a bunch of dishonest cunts out for power. And then the third thing I'll say is, nobody is transing the kids. The kids are either trans or they're not. It's from birth.
Yeah.
The science is confirmed. I'll throw it to Eli and then Brett.
So, I think if we're moving on to the subject of Chase, that Chase is a catastrophic disaster. I think it would not be out of place, even if it gets shot down, to symbolically challenge him on Article 3, Section 3. Because Chase, even if you just go by his campaign website, aligns with less than half of the planks. And Article 3 says that the planks have to serve as the basis for our platform. and 50% is the most charitable percentage I could say is based on. Now, the thing is that this might sound like a ridiculous statement, and so I'll follow it up with another more entertaining ridiculous statement. What do you guys know about Resident Evil 5?
Nothing.
It's the least popular Resident Evil game in the main series.
I know,
and
one
it sold more copies in 2020, 9 years after it was made, than we got votes.
Yes.
We are less popular than the worst Resident Evil game.
Can I say one thing on that?
Sure.
So, in Resident Evil 5, Wesker takes a modified parasite, which originated in Africa, was taken to a Spanish village called the Los Illuminados, called the Las Plagas. If you look at how the Las Plagas behave, they're controlled by someone called a cult leader called Osmond Sadler, and also by like higher things like Menores and also Ramon Salazar. If you look at how people in the Republican Party and the Democrat Party behave with my team and how they get mad, you might as well, and then the getting mad is shooting them symbolically, they might as well be Las Plagas. It's just like, you insulted my orange man or my Bowden, you know, and then they're just having the Las Plagas swinging around. That's how I actually view, if you want to use the term Mangini or Ganados, that's how I view the two-party system. Less so on the RFK side and my friends there, but definitely the people, you know, riding with Biden or, you know, MAGA this time around. Yeah, and heck, the thing might have, his product might have actually had real electronic parasites in them.
I don't think so.
But I watched too much, you know, Alex Jones, but that's how I view them. So that's what I know about Resident Evil 5.
So to actually wrap my thing up, because I'm actually going somewhere with this analogy that is actually useful. My concern and the problem that I have is that by nominating Chase, we have lost all of our near adjacent allies who reach more people than are registered for the party on an almost daily basis. We're getting shit on by literally everyone. Viva, Barnes, Tim, the Liberty Caucus, like you name it, Sticks, anyone that's like important to getting, that's been having a reach out there and getting people interested, even if they're wrong, because like Tim is wrong about things constantly, but even like Kennedy and the other girl on Fox News that is always like as a libertarian, Kat Timpf, you know, they're like, oh, the Libertarians, man, they're just a bunch of retards. Look at this Chase guy. That I think that we have to damage control. I think the number of people who could potentially leave, if you're being strictly strategic, over attempting to at least, if only symbolically, withdraw Chase, is lower than the number of people who are going to have the idea permanently scarred into their mind, because every time they play us booing at Trump, they're going to bring Chase up from now until November. I think that number of the like 152 million people that didn't vote for us, that there's more ground to gain there than there is to lose by challenging the nomination of Chase.
Well, let me push back real quick before I go to Brett and then Hody. I want to challenge this. What parts of his, I'm looking at his platform right now, what parts of this are not libertarian?
All right, so in the planks it says under individual liberty that we support individual liberty from governments, others, and other individuals, other groups. And so his idea that the mandate can come from your employee after you've made that employment agreement clearly violates that. It also...
Sorry, which section is that specifically?
It's under the individual liberty planks. I should pull them up. I didn't think I was actually going to get to make this argument. I've been like putting together a doc, even though I'm probably going to keep it to myself. But anyway.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, if you ever come on this channel again, like, if I ever, like, the thing about this channel that I think differentiates it from a significant amount of other people's channels is I want differing perspectives. Like, maybe someday sometimes there'll be like a solo vlog from me, and that'll be something that like people can get my take on if they want that fucking extremely, like, I've been told I'm the most aggressively negative person. Fine. You know, like, but if they want my opinion, they can get it from me. But like when I have these panels, I don't want lockstep. Like you'll be able to say what you want.
Well,
So,
luckily that was long enough for me to pull up the planks.
yeah,
so I can make a much better
I was
argument
vamping.
now. All right, so first, so if I take him in a vacuum, right? Like, there's this idea. Okay, well, maybe in a vacuum, without the state pushing them in the first place, like putting all factors aside and just looking at the statement, like, well, your employer should be able to say that, like, they don't or do or don't like this. That's part of the free association, right? Maybe to a prospective new employee, that's something you could entertain. Except for it's still incredibly unlibertarian because the concept of having to submit to giving up some part of your autonomy to having to disclose those records then to a prospective employer, it's just kind of icky, right? But I can understand the argument. They're like, well, it's fine, but you're allowed to sign away your rights if you want to, right? Okay, fine, but that's not the scenario that took place. These corporations were doing this at the behest of governments. So,
Right.
As the meme goes, it's the government with extra steps. They were doing it to employees who had already entered the contract of employment after the fact,
Right.
and requiring them to violate their rights on several other levels, both as recognized by the federal government, but more specifically in Chase's case, in the bylaws, in the terms of self-ownership, in the terms of privacy,
What?
in personal relationships, and in there was one more here somewhere as I'm scrolling down. There's a lot of planks.
What in his platform pushes vax mandates?
This was not, as I've been reading through his platform website, he doesn't have it there. There is an answer that he took on a poll recently from someone had linked it to me on Facebook, actually trying to say that no, you're wrong, and it like shows it's like a political. I'm gonna try to find
Do you
that
mean
real
I
quick.
side with?
Yeah, they should be on I'd side with.
I'd always
It's check the community notes.
Um,
I can send.
Right. He said that the I side with stuff, a lot of that stuff was not accurate and was not filled out by him.
yeah.
I was actually
People
bringing that point up in
people
that like some of those
claiming he's
answers
doing
are like
damage
party
control. I
answers.
don't know enough about it to
Yeah.
believe one way or the other, but I do know that this is a known thing where it will fill out stuff automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very likely that he doesn't actually believe that. I've always wondered about that site, and I need to get to the bottom of that at some point, because I've always wondered about that site. Like, do they really get a candidate, a presidential candidate or whatever, who won't answer jack fucking shit questions, to sit down there and answer like thousands? Probably not. And so...
Yeah, I thought that years ago. So.
Shady as fuck. Yeah, so, I mean, maybe. I'm not averse to the concept that he's pro-vax mandate. Max Vandate. My brain is wanting to be dyslexic today, even though I'm not. So, I'm not averse to that concept, but I would need proof. I would need something solid, you know?
He had also recently made, I was digging through his X account, Twitter account,
Right.
whatever you want to call it. He had also made statements about having the government subsidize people's health care. He had made statements about having gay marriage being recognized. And my objection there is about having any marriage recognized. You're acknowledging that the state should be involved with something that is a cultural institution, if not a religious institution. And in the context as a candidate for the United States, the premise of marriage within the United States, for the most part, is to confer either tax benefits, subsidy, or differential rights onto people who adopt specific cultural lifestyles that are approved and sanctioned by the state, which is a complete violation of like significant portions of the actual bill. And then there's just the general, like I said, perception in the public that it's basically turning all of our near allies into...
So three responses generally. the first response, and then I'll get to Bread because I'm sure they've got a lot to say. So the first response that I'll throw out there is, like, to be clear, you're talking about social media posts, not his platform. His platform is pretty solid, right?
Well, I have been either traveling or working, so I've only started putting this together. But
right. So
there are certain things I'm taking as good faith from some people that I do trust, and Michael Malice being one of them, going through more recent things.
So the second thing that I'll bring up is, I think that, like, unless you're going to make the case as a libertarian candidate that no marriage should be recognized, if you're going to recognize at all the use of the political platform as a way to secure any sort of libertarian future, equality, at least in recognition, is necessary. Because the same argument could be made for, like, black civil rights versus white civil rights. You could make the same kinds of arguments that, well, we shouldn't recognize civil rights at all. What rights are civil that aren't human? Or some shit like that. Like, you could make the same kinds of arguments in favor of being massively racist or insert other terrible thing that you could to say we shouldn't recognize gay marriage because we shouldn't recognize, like, any marriage at all. Well, fine, but that's probably not going to happen. So, like, if like the marriage recognition is the thing that's actually concerning, then that would be concerning from any candidate who didn't promise to end benefits for married couples. And if they did that, you want to talk something that's going to get people, like, to hate your candidate, say, I'm going to fuck your marriage, the benefits of your marriage. I'm going to take the things that you were, like, granted by getting married, and I'm going to say, nope, you can't have those anymore. The Libertarians are in charge now. That's probably going to kill your votes, if anything. People are going to wonder why you're trying to die on that hill.
The vast majority of the welfare state is being called to question by the Libertarians. So I think that's in 2024, even more people than there are marriages. But okay, let me back up a little bit from my incomplete case that I've only started putting together earlier tonight before I knew I was going to be on this podcast, and go to, like, if we look at Chase as a candidate, he has essentially two jobs, right? There's the job of running for the president of the United States of America, so we have to look at everything through that lens. And secondly, he's not going to get that job in almost all likelihood.
Right.
So the real thing we're electing is someone who's supposed to be a spokesperson for the party. And the perception of Chase is that we're essentially progressives who read an economics book at some point. And that's not really what the Libertarians are, and not the kind of people we want to attract necessarily into the party.
Maybe, if people haven't, like, been watching what he's been saying. I'm assuming Bread's away from their computers, so we'll probably go to Hody next, and then to Bread ASAP. But, like, yeah. And then actually, we'll go Hody, Bryce, Bread.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm good. I've said more than I expected to anyway. So.
No, and see, that's the thing. Like, I want you to be able to make these cases. Like, this is about communication. Being able to talk about these ideas is important. So thanks for your perspective.
Quick question. Are you defending Chase based on his platform as opposed to his tweets?
Wait, me? Or
yeah.
Just wondering.
So what I'm trying to say here is, because the original thing that was challenged was his platform and the elements of it which contrast with the libertarian platform. So I was curious about that on that level. But if people can find tweet screenshots of him saying some untoward shit, then that's absolutely valid also.
I was going to say, if the president makes statements through Twitter, then...
people's objections to him, like, they're coming from tweets made years ago, which, I mean...
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. I mean, people do change over the years, so I'm not... Okay, yeah, some of his COVID tweets were very cringy, but okay, hopefully he has learned since then.
I was such
I
a
would
massive cunt when I started my Twitter. I was a worse cunt than I am today.
Wait,
I would say.
how's that possible?
Yeah, right?
I would-
Yeah.
I would say within the context of a presidential election that anything said in the current span of the present administration is fair game. Anything outside of that's kind of going too far.
Yeah, I'm honestly really not a fan of digging through years of someone's social media history just looking for gotchas. I don't know. It's very cheap, and yeah, it might not even represent their views. People do learn and grow and change as people.
I like how
Right, because Rectenwald would have an awful lot to answer for if we had to go back to like 2006.
Right, yeah, he was a Marxist for most of his life. Then he was a
Oh.
right-wing populist. Then
And I want to make it clear in the crazy universe where somehow I had any traction on this, because I don't really, and we somehow withdrew Chase. I am not saying, but then we just replace him with our guy. I'd be open to almost any other candidate.
Yeah, but at this point, like, we got what we got. I think there's two options. We can smear him or go play duopoly, which I don't think will work well. Or I think there's the best option, which is this. I know Mises people that were friends with Termot. Whether or not you think that's good or bad, I don't know. I wasn't myself. I can do a little bit of social media stuff. I'm not great at it, but I can do a couple videos. I have a channel that's done relatively okay. I think if we're going to make this into something we can actually look at and be proud of, and say, hey, I see some gaps in your messaging. Let me help you out. Get the word out so that we can actually make this more successful than it could be, or successful. We want to get the word out, and we can do that. We can make it happen. I'm more for unity, and when I say unity, it doesn't just mean ANCAPs and ANCOMs being friends, although that's good unity, or Kevin, who's half and half, and they'll disagree with that. But I think I've read Proudhon, and if you have ANCOM workers associations, ANCAP thing, but either way, I think unity also means we get Prags, Radical Caucus, and Mises, when it benefits liberty, whoever wins, to work together. And as far as I'm concerned, Chase didn't cheat. He didn't lie. He put it together, and he got support from some people. He got support from enough people to change things. He worked on it. Let's give him the due diligence of that, even though I have disagreements, and work work cohesively, and see if we can get more than 3%. Then I can tell Don we got 5%. That's probably more than you're gonna inflate everything, so everything will be more than 5%. And then he can hire Nikki Haley and John Bolton and the Libertarian in his cabinet, which will be Sawak. And
I made that joke originally.
it will definitely be Sarwak. Sarwak, you're right.
Hody.
That was when he was making his speech. I made that joke on the Discord. I was like, Trump says he'll put Libertarians on the thing. Expected reality. He nominates Sarwark.
Yeah,
I could
right.
see AP for liberty. Yeah, you can nuke Iran. Nuclear weapons are fine. I'm a libertarian for nukes.
But on the subject of Chase, does anyone still have like a?
NATO is a voluntary association, bruh.
Because I imagine the Trump thing's going to take a big chunk of time soon.
Hody has a shit ton to say about the Chase thing. He's had his hand up.
Yeah. All right. Chase Oliver's platform. Making immigration easier. 4 platforms about that. Ending qualified immunity. Ending minimum sentencing. Ending prosecution of victimless crimes. Abolishing the death penalty. Finding alternatives to life without parole. 6 planks about ending the drug war. Abolishing the Patriot Act. Repealing FISA and surveillance. Ending TSA. Ending cabinet data collection. Ending the wars. 5 platforms about that. 5 planks about that. Closing loopholes for politicians to exploit in economics. Ending tariffs. Balancing the budget. pro-choice, taking away funding for Planned Parenthood, removing barriers to adoption, removing government from education, ending the Fed messing around with debt and funding, championing gun rights, 3 planks about that, feds out of healthcare, remove pharmaceutical regulations, end permanent patents within the medical industry, and reducing inflation, 3 platforms about that. If you feel that half of those are against the libertarian platform, you're out of your mind. What you've been is informed by people who don't have your best interests at heart. Michael Malice, another person whom I love, got fact-checked, got community notes on what he's saying. You need to be checking these things. Michael Rechtenwald, even if you love the guy, is a liar. It is easily his biggest problem. How did he leave his last job? Lied about it. Did he make a sock account to harass children, encourage them to commit suicide? Yes, he did. Lied about it until he had to admit it in court. Did he support the Trump campaign ever? Lied about it, even though he did like 100 public appearances about it. Did he ever donate to Trump? Lied about it. When he got caught, what did he say? Oh, that was because I was against the impeachment. The timestamps were well before the impeachment. And then once again, like here he is up here, issues with gummies. Michael Rechtenwald, like I'm telling you from people who love him, they're like, hey, Rec, you've got to like do some damage control with these tweets. His dishonesty with the social media, with the Joshua Smith situation. Obviously, Joshua's camp is very well aware of that whole situation. Patent lie. His own Twitter account being like, I just got back control of it, when everybody can see that he had control of it the entire time. He lied so often, and I don't know how listen, if Chase is invalid in your mind because of those platform positions, I don't know what to tell you. Michael Rechtenwald was and here's the thing, most LPMCers have a lot of common sense. They are very left-brain thinkers. I myself am an anarcho-capitalist. Right? I feel very strongly about these things. I get it. But Michael Rechtenwald's problems were way too significant to ever put him in front of a microphone. When you have a guy that has searched the word trans on his account right now, all negative, along with the big whopper of a lie that got repeated on the Daily Wire or whatever, that the last 4 shootings have all been by trans people. And his team was all over him being like, dude, this isn't true. This is Ben Shapiro propaganda. Please take it down. And he didn't. He wanted to lie about trans people. I'll let you fill in the blank as far as why, but nothing good to say about them. Listen, when I come from the restaurant industry, right? Done a lot of work with it, done a lot of restaurant management. The one thing I see that keeps owners failing, and Eli, you addressed this actually really well, right? We have too few people, right? We have too few people to be doing this. What scares restaurant owners from becoming great is scaring away the fraction of a percent of the people that they have. Listen, I don't want to scare off people. I think Chase Oliver delivered a great speech. He wants and needs the Dave Smith people. He wants the Michael Malice people. He wants people, right? Of course, as well as his people. But if all it takes is a picture of him in a mask for you to vote for the guy who instituted mask mandates, we were never going to get you. You are never going to vote for us. If all it takes is the fact that Chase believes that trans kids are real human beings and don't deserve the government effing with them, then if you disagree with him, we're never going to get you. I want to try, but I'm not going to. If that's what it comes down to, failing restaurant, you have to let go of some of your old customers. I'm not saying kick them out. I want the old customers to be down with a new vision, but my biggest worry for the Chase campaign is exactly what happened with the Joe Jorgensen campaign. I released the analytics on this on my public page, but when she made the anti-racist quote, most positive media coverage we got, most donations in a single month, most new follows, most new supporters, most new commitments to pledge, right? Why? And then all of a sudden she went, hey guys, let's maybe make that the last time we do something like that and pipe down a little bit. What happened the next month? Back to irrelevance. I want Chase wearing the rainbow flag, and I want him telling people to end the Fed. I want him embracing drag queens and trans children and saying, you are our people, also taxation is theft. He talks about economy. Look up the word trans on his page. He's supportive of trans people. Now look up the word tax on his social media. He talks about economics. You will find he talks about economics more than the Mises Caucus page does. Search the word trans on his page, then search the word trans on the Mises Caucus page. Guess what one talks about trans people more often? The only difference is that Chase talks about it positively and the Mises Caucus talks about it negatively, right? The issue is the culture war. I get it. We're on different sides. Maybe we won't be compatible, but I am a cultural libertarian and a social libertarian in addition to an economic libertarian. And I cannot stand to see people, I mean, you can say it's not the gay thing if you want, but check any post that you see on social media about Chase and tell me you're not seeing the F slurs fly and the gay slurs fly. Just imagine if he were a straight person saying that same stuff, he wouldn't get called the F slur or the G slur, but Chase is. Why? Because I share a lot of Chase's platform positions. It doesn't happen to me. Oh, but it does happen to Chase, but it's not the gay thing? No, absolutely not. Chase is here's the thing. I know him personally, so I admit I'm a little heated about it, right? He's a good friend of mine. I know him. I understand that there's people who know Rechtenwald personally, but even you guys aren't going to sit here and tell me, no, those were all truths, Hody, you don't understand. No, he made a mistake. He embraces lying. I don't know if it's because it's his campaign manager, is he scared of woke mobs, or because the court forces him to do it, or whatever his excuse is for the next lie that he tells. But the thing is that, like, we can at least come together with, like, the truth. I will accept that you might not think you like Chase's position on the mandates. He talked about it about as often and with just as much fervor as some of the Mises frontrunners. Look up the words lockdown, look up the words mandate, and look up the word truckers on. A thing is they want to make it believe like, oh, he just wasn't good enough on those issues because he also embraces social libertarianism. It's not one or the other. The man talks about lowering taxes and ending the Federal Reserve and like just as much as Mises Caucus folks. The difference is that he also adds that dash of cultural libertarianism that I love. Not everybody's going to love it. Some people are going to be scared off. Me personally, I'm happy to have somebody that finally stands up for the people who I love in my life. Somebody who stands up for the immigrants who are getting molested at the border, who are getting separated from their families, who are being put in detention facilities. I love these people, and I am so sick of explaining that I'm a libertarian to people when it's like, I thought the libertarians hated the immigrants. I thought they hated the gays. We can easily shed that image. I think Chase is going to help us do it. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and real quick, just one thing, because yes, that was excellent. Good rant. Rechtenwald's platform. I think most of these things are great. Nullification. Rigorous use of the 10th Amendment to nullify all unconstitutional laws, right? Federal laws, I guess. Like inflation, trying to cut inflation, opposing the Great Reset, refusing all COVID and like emergency mandates, like slashing all the alphabet agencies, intelligence agencies like are spying on you. We should stop that. Foreign wars, bring all the troops home from the 800 bases around the world and stop saber rattling over Ukraine, China, whatever. Economy, free market systems, stop bailouts and subsidies, cut the income tax. But you know what? You'll find a lot of those things are also things Chase says. All I'm going to say.
Right. I mean, I said something similar. I think pretty much all the positions that Rechtenwald campaigned on are extremely solid. So.
Yeah, like, and so that's the thing. Like, I don't like the way Rechtenwald approached the woke thing. He has a whole book against it, and then he, like, you know, had that situation come up about his publisher on Twitter. So, like, my whole deal is, when it comes down to it, I don't dislike a lot of the stuff Rechtenwald said. And a lot of his videos where he was, like, his campaign team took clips of his appearances saying legit shit elsewhere. Fine. I'm not saying he's a terrible person on everything. We would disagree on quite a lot, but not everything. And where it counts, enough of it was similar.
Right. I mean, I supported him because I liked his campaign strategy proposals that, he was pushing the message of decentralization and nullification. His plan was basically to go to college campuses and try to educate young people on Austrian economics as well as decentralization. So, and I mean, I'm hoping, even having not won the nomination, I'm hoping he'll still continue with this. And it sounds like, I mean, it's very unclear at the moment, but it sounds like he might be planning on doing that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think he can still be an excellent voice for
him.
Liberty.
Chase was probably like my third choice. I don't have anything against Chase Oliver. During the 2020 election cycle, he kind of proved his ability to do debates on stage with the duopoly candidates. So I think he'll be a perfectly fine candidate. And I think that, if we are unsatisfied with the message he's currently pushing, we should be trying to get involved with his campaign to push it in the right direction.
That was the issue I did with JoJo. I just said, okay, well, here we go again. And then we got bad messaging from JoJo, or not strong enough messaging on the lockdowns. And I think this time we should jump at it and say, hey, if these are bad messaging points or bad points, first let's identify if they're true. If they are true, how can we turn them around? If there's a problem with it, let's take a look and see how we can adjust it. That being said, I voted for Rechtenwald. I voted for Clint. I like them, but they didn't win. I'm kind of an entrepreneurial-minded guy saying, hey, if I don't have my ideal situation, I'm still going to make the best out of it and make it work. And that's, to me, the differentiation between success and failure. That some people get a situation they don't like and just say, I'm done, or I'm going to walk away. People who generally succeed are able to make good even out of some of the worst circumstances. Can you be Tony Stark and build the Iron Man suit in a cave? And if you can, that'll be an effective and I would say an efficient threat to the duopoly, and that's what I really want to do. Now,
I like that metaphor.
I don't agree with everything, but I really love Hody John's speech. I appreciate Eli also bringing some stuff up as well to challenge that. But Hody, I actually agree with you. That was a really passionate speech, and excited to volunteer on the campaign.
Yeah. Bryce.
It's funny.
Bryce.
I would like to respond just a little bit to some of those things.
Okay.
One,
very quickly.
Rechtenwald was never my top pick, or even close to my top pick. He was just sort of the best out of what was there. To some degree, Josh might have been better, but the problem is that Josh has a relatively proven record of kind of disappearing when it's inconvenient. Unfortunately, we had the choices that we had, right? And so, even knowing Rechtenwald, I'm like, Rechtenwald, I guess. Now, I think that those issues with Rechtenwald should be front and center, but they're just not, for whatever reason. People are not complaining about them loudly or importantly enough like they are about Chase. And even if Chase's website is decent, and that's one of the things I noticed, is that his website is not as bad as particularly his statements on Twitter, but I can also look at a website and say, it's pretty plausible that he didn't write that. It seems pretty copied and pasted straight out of the planks. But I don't think he had a social media manager for the last 5 years planning for this election. And so when I look at his account, I'm like, these seem like his authentic statements. They don't seem to be terribly in line with our values. And even if I'm being a philosopher about it, I can say, well, it matters what he actually believes. But if I'm being a campaign organizer / PR person for the party, the perception quite clearly from the people that are putting out information to the public about what our party represents, even if they're not part of the party, like Temple or whatever, if the perception becomes that we are something that we're not, we're either going to become that or we're just going to lose the people that we have. And I don't think that Chase is going to be able to shake the perception, whether it directly matches reality or not. And I would like to see him live up to the things that are posted on his website and not the things that are posted on his Twitter. But to pretend that it's not a problem, I don't think that helps us.
What is posted on his Twitter, though? Like, can you list some things out that are actually objectionable and don't, like, match his platform on his website? And probably also that were done during his campaign.
Okay. Well,
while you do that, you can compile as long a list as you want. Let's get to Bryce, because we need to talk about Wisconsin and the things that went on in Wisconsin before the thing started.
You went really southern there.
There are no humans in Wisconsin, and nothing's going to convince me otherwise. There's only cheese.
Yes.
That guy I met,
There's only corn in Iowa.
Was not actually human. That was just cheese.
Iowa.
Bryce is a cheese American.
Yeah, Bryce wants Kim Jong-un to address the Libertarian Party. It was so hilarious. We were in the hotel. He's like, we'll invite Kim Jong-un. He's like, death to the American Empire. And people would, like, cheer, and it's like, hey, you're cheering for a tanky. They're like, oh. And then we'll be in a news article.
Yeah. Bryce, words.
Yeah. Okay, so the situation that happened with Wisconsin was our LPWI chair, Stephen Ecker, who is a MECOC guy, by the way. Side note, I am a MECOC guy. I have openly admitted to being a MECOC guy. Irrelevant. Anyways, May 11th this year, he signed us into Region 1. And in the Region 1 agreement, the chairs of the state affiliates within that region get to select the region reps, and the state affiliates are responsible for financial contributions up to $1,000 for travel expenses and stuff. He did not inform us that he signed us into the super region until May 20th. A whole ass 4 days before the convention. So certain members of the reason that's relevant is because of that financial contribution portion. In our bylaws, financial contributions need to be approved of by the executive committee. Any state party financial expenses need to be approved of by the executive committee. So one of our congressional district reps ruled Stephen Ecker's decision out of order and called for an emergency XCOM meeting the following night to vote on ruling his thing out of order and having him rescind our region rep position. It was unanimously voted on that it was out of order. So
Yep.
We contacted Karen Ann Harlow, and we were like, hey, we're not, like, this is out of order. This violates our bylaws. We would like to not be in Region 1. And we just held an XCOM meeting declaring that we are not going to be in Region 1. And so there was this big, messy conversation going back and forth between Karen Ann and our XCOM and Karen Ann and our delegates, talking about how our meeting to rule that his decision out of order was actually out of order because we didn't give a 3 weeks notice to the LNC.
That was 5 days.
To the LNC. And that the region was formed and that a proper region was formed was her exact terminology. And
right,
so,
she like gave you 2 sentences. She's like, a valid region was formed.
Have a good day.
Like, that's not in line with our bylaws. It was so weird.
anyways, so we were like, hey, Steven, you need to rescind your agreement because this shit's out of order. He basically ghosted us, didn't communicate with us at all. we find him at the national convention. And we're like, and we figured like maybe he's there to rescind the offer so we can go join a different region. At the time, we were thinking Region 5. Didn't. Ultimately, it fell through. He never actually rescinded the offer. And not only that, we find out on Friday, the day of the business, like the start of business, that he is actually there, unbeknownst to us, to be a Minnesota state delegate. Now that's relevant because Minnesota is a Mises Caucus controlled state, and they are also going to be in Region 1. So he's there to be a delegate for a state that actively goes against Wisconsin's best interest. Regardless of how I feel about the Mises Caucus, it objectively goes against what Wisconsin wants. And it violates our bylaws. So he never actually, long story short, he never rescinded the offer. We ended up stuck in Region 1 because we never got a region to swoop in and accept us. And as a result, Wisconsin did not vote a single person for Karen Ann, not even the other Mises Caucus person that was there. However, Minnesota went completely for her. Mm-hmm. So that's the Wisconsin story for you.
I just like those pins you made that you then put back on her table saying "Don't re-elect Karen Ann" with a cross for her face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We also flipped our the Wisconsin sign upside down because it was supposed to be Wisconsin in distress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking all this shit just to not elect somebody that opposition usually opposes for real surface level reasons is just the kind of petty fucking middle school garbage that allegedly was supposed to be stopped. Again, Hody nailed it when he said if Nick Sarwark did this, you'd be having a fucking stroke.
Yeah, but it's okay when we do it.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And so
it's different.
So all of this, I think, brings us to Brett, who's I guarantee they've got something to say for this whole time.
I do. I have so much shit to say that I'm not gonna get to say it all because I guarantee you I've forgotten some of it at this point. But
it blame a gummy.
Yeah, you have to do the dance if you're gonna blame the gummy.
Yeah.
Sitting here listening to everybody talk about this stuff and share everything, I do not fucking miss one goddamn second of this shit since I walked out the door. I just cannot help but think over and over and over again that the main problem is that none of this Libertarian Party shit sounds very fucking libertarian. It's one thing to pay attention to the bylaws and make sure things are fair and stuff, but we have toxic political maneuvering. These people think they're in DC. You have
technically
a small pond. Well, yeah, but
all the time.
Not for real. You were just visiting.
They like to pretend they're a real party.
Yeah. They find these. This is a smaller pond where they can be bigger fish, and it takes away from a lot of things that could be done, a lot of things that people could be doing together. I have observed during the past 2 to 3 weeks around and during this convention some of the most divisive situations between people who are super fucking close to each other, both in and outside of our community.
It was me.
I have watched it No, it wasn't just you. Okay, look, I know a lot of people, but I mean, like,
I can be a
give me
cunt
not-
too.
this
We're all
community,
cunts
There
here.
was bickering.
Yeah,
Rose
but
Everybody
gave me-
you
turned
weren't
into
Rose
wrong
gave
when
me
you
cunts.
said that I've
nachos.
been.
Rose gave me
You weren't
nachos.
wrong when you said that I've been aggro over this past
Well, it's
week.
not just you
Yes,
though.
I-
It's a lot. It's everybody.
Oh.
It's infecting people. Like if you sit in the poisoned waters, you're gonna get it in you at some point or another. And that's what's been happening to people. It's been dividing people up. The most inspirational thing that I have like listened to tonight through the whole thing was probably Hodie's speech here, and I'm gonna go back and clip that. I'm stealing it. The thing is, like, the whole weed thing, I cannot believe that the weed thing seems to be a bigger issue to people out there than the bigotry and the gatekeeping and the division and all this weird I'm pretending I'm in Congress crap that people are doing out there. Like, I cannot believe that that's the biggest deal. It's fucking weed. Like, holy shit, y'all are lucky he was wearing pants. This is the Libertarian National Convention. What is wrong with
More
y'all?
like Michael Pechtenwald. Anyway.
It seems so silly that that's an issue at all. I don't understand. Like even when people are like, oh, it's just Republican lights that want to smoke weed. Even that horrible fucking like stereotype of libertarians still likes fucking what the hell is happening here. I think that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And the fact that people heckled him about it and stuff. If it was a joke, that's fun. But like anybody really not like having a problem with that is kind of fucking stupid.
Okay.
Like I hate to use that word, but like I'm learning new words for that. It's ridiculous. They're big giant goobers.
So 3 things to respond to that. Just real quick. I do think it matters because I think he should have practiced decorum, and if he wasn't ready for a gummy, he shouldn't have put one in his mouth. But like I'm not anti-weed.
Well, he was a lightweight.
Yeah.
If we're gonna hold anything against him, we should be making fun of him for being a fucking lightweight.
Yeah, right.
I'm a lightweight.
That's what a lot
I
of people
admit it, though.
say. They're like, he should be able to handle his THC and give a speech anyway.
Like, that's one of the things everybody's been talking about. Oh, he shouldn't have smoked. He shouldn't have smoked. I'm like, what kind of pussy can't fucking... Or he shouldn't have done weed. He shouldn't have done weed. And I'm like, what kind of pussy in the Libertarian Party can't do weed and give a fucking rant speech or anything like that? Like, what the hell?
And
are we in the same universe? Because, like, as far as I know, half of the fucking libertarians I know just smoke weed and give speeches. Like, what the fuck?
And that's
it's part of the culture.
And that's line item 2 in my response to you, because, like, here's the real shit. Michael Rechtenwald's camp is overwhelmingly comprised of people who are closer to Trump than they are to Chase Oliver.
Well, yeah, that's gross. The other thing is that with so many fucking statists,
Rose is not one of those people.
Right wing. Well, so many statists and so much right wing rhetoric finding itself inside of the Libertarian Party. Like, I don't see any fucking Democrat rhetoric showing up inside of the Libertarian Party. It is just right wing, Tucker Carlson cooked up Breitbart bullshit.
Hey,
that if you actually
missed the Daily Wire and Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, them too. All of those dumb fucks. Anyways, like, it's got all these statist, right-wing dumb fucks, and people are just regurgitating them. And like, people will sit around on Twitter complaining about how some dude had a fucking gummy, but they will like cheer and clap up a fucking storm and give all the fucking likes to the people who are like trying to like literally deny people their own social and personal agency. It's fucking ridiculous. All of this is just a joke now. When I first joined the Libertarian Party, I wanted to, do something. I wanted to help people change things. I was inspired by a lot of people, and some of which who are still around. Some of which actually walked away before me, like Dan. But like, I I don't see any of that happening now. And when people gave me the list of like the final guys for the Libertarian nomination, and I looked at them, and I took like about half an hour to look into each of them, because someone was like, I know you don't vote, but what's your choice? I picked Chase. And the reason why I picked Chase is pretty much everything fucking Hobie said. Or Hody, sorry. I called you Hobie.
I like
pretty
that
much everything that Hody said. And like, I couldn't even fucking add anything on to that. Like, Chase looks like the Libertarian Party that I joined that doesn't fucking exist anymore. And I don't even know that it existed when I joined. I think it might have been like a shadow that we all just really wanted to be there. I'm sorry, this shit really upsets me sometimes. Oh, I can't see. Okay, I got distracted with my cry. Yeah, anyways, so like, Chase is probably, in my opinion, out of all the options, the most libertarian dream aesthetic that is out there available at the moment. That being said, I'm still not going to vote. I'm not going to help anybody vote or anything like that, because I think it's horrible and violent and mob rule and shit like that. But like, the idea that he could be that is really nice. I do see some downsides to it, though. And one that's kind of good and kind of bad, because I'm a little bit of an accelerationist in a way. Because like, Chase being chosen has made it almost impossible for people to be able to look at reality and say it's just a loud minority. Because it is well past time that people gave up on that bullshit rhetoric that it is just a loud minority. There are so many people who flock to the topics of libertarianism and things of that nature who are just fucking horrible people that we don't really need here. Like, on Twitter, then I'm not even going to vote for the dude, but I'm out there being like, look, if this queer shit is what is, like, chasing your ass off, fucking run faster. And don't fucking come back. And, like, they don't need to know I've already left the LP. I don't give a shit. Get the fuck out. Like, you don't belong there. You never belonged there.
Yeah, so...
Right. I said that, too. I'm like, if there's one good thing to come from, or, I mean, there are a few good things to come from the Chase nomination. One of them, yeah, the rightoids who were LARPing as libertarians are leaving, like, they're leaving in huge numbers. The New York Mises Caucus had actually been losing social conservatives for a while. Like, a lot of them left back somewhere around fall and early winter last year. Then the New York convention happened. More of them quit in response to some of the corruption that happened at the New York convention, which I detailed on the stream we did about that. Then Chase got nominated, one of the guys who was a delegate, one of our final straight up conservatives also left after the Chase nomination. I'm like, I feel like, okay, I feel kind of bad saying this because some of these were people who I liked as people, but yeah, they left. Okay, we're losing social conservatives, and I think this actually could be a good thing.
So, real quick,
Well,
I
it
wanted
could
to
be,
give some
but
credence to some things
my
we
other-
said.
Well, hold on. There is one thing. I agree with you on that. It could be a really good thing, but it could also be a really bad thing, because the homophobia of the current Libertarian Party has become so fucking loud right now that if the good people can't fucking hold out without being burned out by all of this bullshit, then y'all might lose it for good.
I was
Because at
worried
this
about
point-
that.
a lot of
feel like
people
we're
who are
holding it better
decent
at this
and
point.
like don't like that shit, or queer people and stuff like that, have already left y'all. You don't have the numbers that you used to have. You hemorrhaged them for the past 3 years, especially. So like, if you can't find a way to hold out and keep any semblance of presence in the face of all of the hatred that is billowing outside, some of which may not even be fucking real. Like, some of it may, like, have y'all ever considered that maybe this was all a big fucking hoax to gather in a whole bunch of fucking, like, Trump-minded, I mean, you know, like, Trump-minded fucking people from the Libertarian Party and just, like, push them off into MAGA so they can get the extra votes?
Yes,
Like,
I don't think it's
because that's what's happening. Because, like,
know
I mean, to be fair, whether it was planned or not, that's what's happening.
Rose and then Eli.
And,
Oh,
like,
I'm aware, but I don't think that's actually what
Yeah.
happened. I think the LPMC actually did. Like, there were a ton of highly consistent principled libertarians who were in there at the beginning. I think it actually was an attempt to restore the Libertarian Party back to its original ideas as, you know, a front for economics, education, networking, messaging, you know, hardline anti-imperialism, all the reasons that people like me joined it. But they also needed numbers, and because some of the founders were more towards the social conservative side, they recruited from circles that they were more comfortable talking to. So over time, I saw more and more social conservatives joining it, and I saw more and more of the more socially progressive and consistent libertarians leaving. And then over time, this just got worse and worse, because then I started, it wasn't just that they were leaving, but they were actively being driven off by leadership for, I don't know, giving reasonable criticisms, which got them lumped in with the haters or saboteurs, which, look, there were some of those. There were people legitimately trying to sabotage what we were trying to accomplish by spreading blatant lies about it. There were people who were and continue to this day to just sit around complaining incessantly on social media while not actually doing anything to try to improve the situation. So they do exist, but yeah, I think there's a lot that was done wrong. That I think the takeover had a lot of potential. I think some of the purges were necessary. There were people who needed to be removed from the party, you know, such as the people who just wanted to make believe that they were actual politicians and that they were going to actually elect a presidential candidate. There were a lot of people who needed to be purged from the party. This whole thing had a lot of potential, but
yeah,
it definitely, there were a lot of areas where it went wrong.
And like
that's like what I told people. I was like, there is a chance that if people do things correctly, they may be able to push back during this.
To briefly,
I was kind of sad it didn't really happen, but
to briefly respond to that before throwing it to Eli, because Eli's been waiting for a while to say it. So, to like just briefly, like if they had, okay, so here's the thing. When I heard Mises Caucus, look, I have been involved in libertarian politics for a really long time. Basically half my life, to some extent, and to some extent actively through YAL and other libertarian organizations, actively campaigning on behalf of libertarian candidates, and I was also a part of the Ron Paul campaign, and I guess now loosely Hornberger and Lars, but only because I thought some of the stuff they were saying was legit, and I guess sort of McAfee, because I liked a lot of his messaging. His messaging was fucking based as fuck. McAfee was excellent. But as somebody who has spent a significant amount of my life in this shit, I can tell you, one of the things that I did for a long time there, until they stopped updating the torrent, I seeded the Mises library torrent. And for a significant period of time there, whenever I bought games on Humble Bundle, I would support Mises Institute as the charity of my choice. I am literally a Mises Institute donor, and I have helped them actively spread their messaging. I am not some like anti-Mises fuck. But you know who knows less about Misesian economics and the politics of the Mises Institute than me? Most people in the Mises caucus who don't know jack fucking shit about Mises and could not point him out in a lineup.
Yes, they boo when he's quoted.
So if they were actually interested in being a Mises caucus rather than the Measles caucus, I would have been more of a supporter, but they suck asshole. Eli, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm trying to hold an awful lot of things in my head all at once.
Yeah.
I wanted to agree in some interesting ways with a bunch of the things that Reed said. So, just because it's the freshest thing, although it wasn't the first thing I was going to respond to, back during the whole and before the Reno thing, right? Like one of the things that they were trying to criticize Angela for is the number of people that had left the party over a set amount of time. Now, there were an awful lot of people who had joined the Mises caucus who definitely were kind of like, oh, this is the like economically right-wing party where I can be a racist, right? And we're like, no. I mean, like technically, but like we don't want that. But there were also an awful lot of, on the other side of the spectrum, people that I think had no business being in the Libertarian Party that were like leaning hard into identity politics and social justice issues that just are not issues for the state that can be involved in. And they were pushing policies that were, I think, untenable from the libertarian perspective. And so those people left as well. So the whole party, I think, pulled in on both edges during her time. And so when they're like, well, people left, I'm like, I'm not sure that that's a bad thing necessarily. But to go to like the current state on the Mises thing, what I'm seeing is a lot of people that were more reasonable have left Mises, but they haven't left, I don't think, the Libertarian Party in the same numbers. They've just sort of dispersed into the uncaucused masses, and they're sort of just kind of hanging around still, which is fine.
Uncaucused masses.
Yeah. And then but I do think there's a disparaging number of people, and because I've seen it in the communications, where like, you know, like, well, yeah, even saying to me like, well, you're just mad because he's gay. Like, I have nothing against the fact that he's gay. Like, just it literally means nothing to me. I have no problem with that. That is not my issue. I think it's just the optics are a problem. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe he's salvageable, right? It's going to be a significant uphill battle. And yeah, there is a problem with people, but at the same time, people being upset with me, or not upset with me, but like suspicious that I'm upset that he's gay or something, is a reflection of a great number of people attacking him for being gay. Now, I don't know that these attacks are entirely sincere. I think I don't know where I'd place the percentage. Some of them are people who will just pick on something that they know is upsetting and attack that thing because they know it's upsetting, whether or not it's actually an important issue to them or not. It's just an asshole thing that people do. I'm sure that there are plenty of people who are sincere in that point, though, and that is, I think, very disappointing. And so those are things I wanted to sort of agree with Reed on.
Yeah, real quick, bread, and then the second point I'll make to just bolster that before, because I'm sure you have things that you disagree, that you're gonna let us know now, but like when I tweeted out, if you're closer to Christopher Chase Rachel's than Chase Oliver, When I tweeted out, if you're closer to Christopher Chase Rachel's than Chase Oliver, you're not a libertarian. For those of you who don't know, Christopher Chase Rachel's is a Nazi who's friends with Jared Howe and Chris Cantwell and a bunch of other Nazi fucks, and he wrote a book called White, Right, and Libertarian with a bunch of people hanging from a helicopter noose.
Right, bad enough that even Hoppe distanced himself when he saw what the book was about.
Yeah. And he wrote the foreword to it before he was really that well informed. It's fucking hilarious.
And then he tried to withdraw, but apparently before it was still used against his permission.
Yeah. And so I said, if you're closer to Christopher Chase Rachels than Chase Oliver, you're not a libertarian. And I have so many people angry in my comments. One of them is Kevin Patton, who I blocked on Facebook because he called me a pedophile because I support trans people.
He's on my Facebook friends list.
Yeah.
Is it that bad?
He's a real scumbag. Then there's Dad Nat 1488 who says no one cares about libertarianism anymore, bro. We have more pressing matters to deal with. If you click his profile, you'll see Trump support, anti-trans stuff, anti-Jew stuff, Jackson Hinkle, and a bunch of other shit like that. My comments are absolutely... And then there's Vinny Wilson. I don't know his politics. I haven't clicked him yet. But he says, I'm an LP Mises Caucus and Comic Dave Smith supporter. He was my top choice for president. And now I disagree with Chase for Liberty on too many topics, not spelled with 2 O's, and can't vote for him. So Robert Kennedy Jr. or Donald Trump, it's going to be. And I said, I'm glad you tagged all these people. Now all of you can have a link to my stream, and I posted that. And then, finally, there's David Corbo, who got mad at me because I exposed him as a liar for, saying that his relative was imported to the country on Jewish slave boats. When that was just identity documents as confirmed by historians and people who were actually from that fucking place. And he continued the lies and has been basically, anytime he interacts with me, smearing me and talking shit since. And he hurled a slur, and somebody in his audience said, you have a hedgehog fetish. I mean, if I did, that's none of your fucking business, but I'm not gonna fucking just sit here and, entertain these people. These people are the kinds of bigoted pieces of shit who should have been pushed out of the party. If you're
gonna entertain them with your hedgehog fetish, they can pay you.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. Go to my Only Speeds. But yeah, Eli, you can now say this. I just wanted to say that's what we're dealing with. You support Chase in any way, even if it's just to say you should be further away from Nazis than you are close to him, or if you oppose the liars that are lying about him by creating fake tweets, people will come out of the woodwork to hurl slurs at you because this is the base cultivated by the current Libertarian Party. So just to bolster the thing you said a little bit ago, these people have fucked shit up for a lot of people in a lot of ways, and that's one of the points that I made that got latent angry with me. So
Well, one of the final things that I'm actually in agreement with Reed on, although I'm sure there's points of this agreement that he might, or they might disagree with, but one of the points I keep getting from people talking to me from within the Mises thing is they're like, well, it doesn't matter. This basically guarantees it for Trump anyway. And I'm like, look, even if we want to take the Faustian bargain of voting for Trump to see if he puts libertarians on the cabinet, the point isn't to get Trump elected. The point is to grow the Libertarian Party. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not really a factor in my Chase thing. I'm not looking for the cope of well, Trump gets elected now.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk about that too, the Trump thing.
Because it's gonna be some asshole anyways. I told fucking Kareem the other night, I didn't mean, when I say fuck all presidents, no gods, no masters, no anything like that. I mean, no involuntary gods, but whatever. I'm I don't mean no presidents except for this guy because he has a libertarian patch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean all fucking presidents that are serious about it. As long as you're running and it's not performative, I don't give a goddamn about you. Libertarians never should have ever allowed themselves to put so much fucking weight into a federal national run like it was a serious, real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been like that for as long as I can fucking remember. I can't. And from what I've been had explained to me by multiple older people is that was never even supposed to be the fucking directive. Like, and you know, I can't understand why anybody, you know, I don't understand what the angle is though by putting a queer guy up there, you know, like a gay guy up there to like parade around and say libertarian shit when like, you know, when they look for libertarians, they're going to find those pieces of shit and they're just going to walk right the fuck away. And I mean, like, who's going to believe that libertarians give a goddamn about fucking queer people when they can't even give a goddamn about each other? Like, where were these important fucking principles when Starchild was having their NAP broken?
Nobody did jack fucking shit.
Wait. Are you talking about at the recent convention?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, the Trump thing. Yeah. Sounds like he got into an altercation with some of the MAGA morons who, unfortunately, the Trump event was allowed open to the public. It was supposed to be
they
that
were
libertarian
standing there in the video protesting with the sign and stuff, and the security guys jumped them and started like,
and then they went
and nobody did anything but boo.
Like dragged.
That's
out.
basically a perfect image of how useful the Libertarian Party has become. They booed and did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's helpful.
I think a lot of them didn't actually know. I didn't even see what was going on because from what I understand, Starchild was for some reason way in the back with the MAGA idiots rather than further up
about
where all the
about
Libertarian
middle
delegates were. Right, I didn't see it going.
They're in the middle.
I saw him.
They're like standing up over everybody. I do not know how people missed that. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
They were like in the chair.
It was very chaotic. Like I didn't know this, but apparently some of the Secret Service people said that this was one of the most chaotic events they'd been to, which I find hard to believe, but whatever.
Well, even if people didn't notice it when it was happening, it was noticeable after it was happening, and people didn't throw fits or refuse to finish the event or anything. There was no protest. There was nothing. Nothing.
And like that's.
I don't know why Chase is going to matter if everybody can just turn up the fucking and watch that happen.
Yeah,
and I mean, and let's not even forget the fucking hot mic.
Yeah, and
oh god.
and so like let's just.
It was a joke.
Yeah. So this is a good way to sidle into that because the audience for this convention was this way for a very specific fucking reason. And the reason it was that way was because who was going to be speaking there. So I'll say 3 things and then I'll shut the fuck up and let y'all talk. And then we'll get close to probably I'm 240. Like we'll do that. It's like 217 now. Because I don't want to run us ragged like all night, and I need to get a workout. But the general vibe. So okay. There was a Libertarian president elected, if that's indeed what happened, and that's Javier Milei. Javier Milei has gotten universal support from most Libertarians, and the Libertarian Party national account sucked his cock, the Libertarian Mises Caucus accounts sucked his cock, so many, like, right Libertarians being Libertarian, run by Eric July, you know, so many of these fucking... like boilerplate declaration of memes, whatever, sucked his cock. They're all up on his Javier. And so, like, let me be super clear. He is a surveillance statist. He is a, like, he is a protest-crushing, pro-cop, pro-Israeli genocide, prison industrial complex motherfucker who wants to make it easier for cops to shoot people and lock up kids. He loves tyranny as long as it enriches the capital class, which is why he's considering joining NATO and why he's getting a bunch of IMF loans and support from international banking cartels. He is a piece of fucking shit. And, like, this is just, like, he hired Patricia Bullrich to wage a war on drugs for him immediately. And she immediately said that she would do that. He has hired so many people into his cabinet, one of whom is a financial minister who is meeting with Janet Yellen to get their administration in lockstep with the Biden administration. And, you know, so many of these, I could keep going. He bought 24 jets from Lockheed Martin so that he could have a bolstered military to serve with NATO. He gave 2 helicopters to Ukraine. And people are just like, yeah, that's fine. He's gesturing that he's working with the people we've said we've jacked off about hating for fucking years. No more aid to these people. And then suddenly he says it's totally fine what Israel is doing and I'm going to jack off about Ukraine and support NATO. And no, suddenly it's not okay to fucking criticize this shit. Because when it comes down to it, when the rubber hits the road, so many fucking libertarians are pussies. And they will not go against the prevailing wisdom of their chosen fucking puppets. And they don't care that Argentina has become a vassal state for Western imperialism. And then they will, in the next breath, retweet something Jackson Hinkle said about imperialism or whatever. Or, like in the case of Lori Price, the campaign coordinator from Michael Rechtenwald, say that Putin is liberating regions in Ukraine. It's just so transparently... everybody's got a tyrant they want to back.
They're the same people who are like, fuck imperialism, but they've got American flags everywhere.
Thin blue liners,
it's literally weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not perfect either. I mean, like,
I am.
I guess
perfect.
I guess as statist as I get is, hey man, let's have direct democracy and confederal committees. It's not perfect anarchy. I get it. Or horizontal.
No, it's where you sent for Robert E. Lee, remember?
Yeah, right.
That was not, I mean, yeah, I did that too, but like now I'm just doing the book chin thing for the kids at home. So if everybody votes, we're taking fluoride out of the water and you don't, we're taking it out in my local community. Local
That's mob rule. We have to come burn your community down now.
So like the reason I brought all that.
Book chin mob rule. It's cool.
The reason I brought all of that up was because Javier Milei is a Vivek sucker. He bought the Scamaswamy. He loves RFK Jr. and his fucking rickety voice. He loves fucking like Donald Trump and his fucking big plan to make everything great again. He's a fucking boilerplate conservative who jacked off at a fucking CPAC, which might as well be APAC. He said at the end of WEF speech that everybody jacks off about that Argentina is your staunch and unconditional ally and you are the real heroes of this story. Protagonist, whatever, I don't fucking jack off again. The point is that, like, this is why this is this way. Because for years, this has been building up, and the libertarian movement has been being infiltrated by Trump suckers. That's the whole platform of Liberty Hangout, is that they were doing this. They were going to infiltrate libertarianism and make it right-wing. And that's why, because Liberty Hangout was directly affiliated with Eric July, who runs Being Libertarian. It's why Eric July is siding with Trump. It's why all these big name libertarian bullshitters are like siding with Trump, because it's been a problem that is built up for the past like decade, being more and more Trump-like. And that's the reason Angela McArdle helped file like a fucking whatever jurisprudence for him. I don't remember the specific writ of certiorari in favor of him, like, you know, not being banned from ballots. Like, it's the reason that she like that he asked to speak at the convention and she lied about that and said she just invited him out of the blue. It's the reason this is all happening, because the Libertarian Party is fucking cucked and has been for a long time to authoritarian circles.
And like any libertarian group or movement or community or collective that opens its doors to the Libertarian Party becomes infected as well. And it is actually contributed to the destruction of movements and things of that nature just over the past like 5 years. And it is fucking dangerous. Like, it has become a danger to free folk. And this past week has done nothing but prove to me that it is actually a danger. Like, I understand that some of y'all want to keep trying to do this. You want to fight for it. You want to do the thing. And I see that your intentions are good. And I am not at odds with you. But if anyone were to ask me on the street, what I thought of the Libertarian Party now, my response would be, I want to see it burn. And the reason for that is because it causes more damage. And I don't give a shit about the Libertarian Party. It is causing irreparable, exponential over time damage to the entirety of the market and trad anarchist movements. And it is everywhere. This is not just a libertarian problem, like a Libertarian Party problem. This is affecting a lot of fucking people that have never, ever, ever, ever touched the Libertarian Party and will never touch the Libertarian Party.
But wait, Brad.
Right. I've said similar.
If someone asks you,
Like,
said,
I would rather it just burn completely if it's gonna continue on being such an embarrassment. I would rather we just not have a party called the Libertarian Party. However, a couple of years ago, I realized I'm like, okay, it's going to exist anyway, and I'm sick of having to specify that I'm a small L libertarian. Wouldn't it be awesome if that party that has the word libertarian in its name were actually libertarian? So that was why I got involved. And I mean, I'm glad I did. I've met a lot of really awesome people. I mean, even all of you are like, I met you through other people who I probably met through big L libertarian circles. So ultimately, I'm glad I did. But no, I get it though. Like, it sounds like
we're all disenfranchised now.
Yeah, I'm a bad person.
Through this
Now, wait, Brad.
and then walked away a long time ago. So, yeah.
Now, Brad,
like normal part of the process.
Yeah.
Gotta ask Brad. On the street, Brad, what are you and what are you in when you're having relations? You're a...
What?
I'm mashed potatoes in the street and mango jello in the sheets.
That doesn't sound good. You mean ANCAP in the streets and Prim in the sheets?
I don't know. I'm just making random shit up. I'm grapes in the streets and wet spaghetti in the sheets.
I'm gonna have.
If you're ANCAP in the sheets, does that mean you charge money for it?
That just makes you a whore.
Ooh.
I think we should have another podcast where we just talk about the Trump speech. I bet we could fill the whole.
You know?
thing with that.
Yeah, we probably fucking could.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Cindy Cat agrees.
Honestly.
Hi, Cindy Cat. This is Cindy Cat.
We could do so. Actually, let's do a full stream.
I tell you that was Cindy Cat.
Let me
Cindy Cat.
Let me just say, we'll do a full.
You can't just go from asking what Syndicate is to claiming you're an Ansind the next day.
Ansind in this when the union meets, and calm when fascists need defeats.
So,
Oh my God.
So let's do this. How does, for all of the people present, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern work? For the sequel to this one. And we'll go over all the stuff we didn't.
Kind of rough.
Friday's better for me.
I would be unable to do that one because I got mandated for my job, and I have to come in at 6 on Saturday.
What would work for you, Bryce? Because Rose also says that doesn't work.
It's rough. Be made to work if we're not also doing Sunday. Doing both weekend days is a lot.
Okay, well then, how about this? We can do a sequel next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That work?
That's fine with me.
And we'll do
that works.
And Eli, if you want to come back, and anybody here who wants to come back, we also are going to do another stream where we're going to go over more planks of the paleo strategy. We already did an episode of that, but we're going to go over more of them. And it's going to get real hot real quick because I got fucking issues with certain things here that make me want to give people a real good time. So
said I missed the first one.
Yeah,
the last one.
My friend Kevin will be here. Kevin's based.
Yeah, so
half and half. Like
so we'll be talking about those sort of planks of the paleo strategy. And I think my internet fucked up again. We'll be talking about the planks of the paleo strategy where that went wrong, how that's been contributed. And honestly, that'll be a good lead-in to Tuesday, because I think Trump being at the speech thing and all the reactions and jack-offs about that are a direct result of the paleo strategy. So, Eli, do you want to show up for that? It's fine if Sunday at it'll be Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
I don't know much about it, but it'd be interesting.
Sure, you are welcome.
You get a fresh, you'll get maybe a fresh takeoff of like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I play devil's advocate for Melee for one moment?
We've got...
I'm gonna throw up in my mouth.
We've got 10 more minutes, so you got 3, we'll say. So,
have you ever seen like someone who was a drug addict and like their life's not great, but they're not a drug addict anymore? Like they're buying scratch-off tickets, they've got like a job at the convenience store that they walk to, but like they're kind of turned things around. And I think like as a minarchist, that's how we look at Argentina, right? Like it was completely fucked before, and now they're like, all right, well, let's take the control away from the central banks. Okay, so they landed on the US dollar, maybe not the best choice, better than letting their central banks do what they were doing.
Maybe.
So I sort of see his actions as being like, look, if I'm going to cut these ties and turn everything around, I need to ingratiate myself to the West because I want to base my currency off the dollar. So has that led him to fantastic overall choices? No. Have they, like, turned it around and are now sort of sitting in the convenience store at the slot machine instead of injecting heroin? That's, like, kind of where I see it.
Well, maybe. Or maybe they just got new dealers for their smack, and now they're going to Ukraine and Israel and saying it's okay if you, like, genocide the Palestinian people, Israel, and it's okay if you're a vassal state for Western power, Ukraine, we'll support you, and we'll support whatever other powers we need to align with the Biden regime. And maybe he's still on heroin, and it's just, Narcan or, fucking some other fucking prescription pills. Maybe he's just on fentanyl now and he's, gonna get that wooden chest eventually. Who knows?
I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll find out eventually.
Yeah. Anyway, so we will start. So I'll start with you, Eli. We'll do closing statements and plugs.
I guess I'll say, I understand a little bit where you guys are coming from on the, like, sort of, like, okay, I don't want to not give Chase a chance. It's been really bad this week for the Libertarian Party, I think, in the public perspective, like, from outside the party. When I have people that aren't even political calling me and asking me, like, what the actual fuck is wrong with you people? I don't know. I am taking what you guys have said into consideration, and I guess that's what I can offer for now.
Plugs. You have things you do.
I should and probably will start going back and posting things on Thought Atlas maybe soon. Although if I keep appearing here, I'll probably just do that instead.
That works. That's one of the things. Like, I hope, even though there's been some rubs and some challenge, I do hope that it's been at least, considerably fairer than maybe you were expecting. I don't know.
Yeah, both last times I was on with you, and what's funny is none of it was directed at me. There was other people, and then I didn't get to really say anything, and I was just like, all right, then I guess I was at least visually here.
Yeah. I was also there.
And you're also welcome, on my show or Leighton's show as well.
What was that?
No, I said he's also welcome on my show when I do shows or Leighton's show.
Hey, we started out on your show, but then one day you just didn't show up, and now we're all here.
I mean, I'm still doing shows. I'm still going to get people on and do shows, and Leighton's still doing shows. He's an ANCAP man and ANCAP stand.
See, I put a cat on to counter your cat.
So if he wants to settle our score, damn it.
He'll battle you.
Yeah. Well, so
He's a Cindy cat.
So we will move to Bryce, and feel free to say as much in your closing statement as you want, because there's probably stuff you didn't say that you want to. And Tuesday works for you, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so as part of the whole Chase Oliver thing, I will not lie. He was not my preferred choice of candidate. Of course, my preferred choice of candidate didn't actually run. My preferred choice of candidate was fucking Dave Smith. Dave Smith did not run. So, I am willing to give Chase a chance to see what he can do. If I think that his campaign has been a complete disaster come November, I will just not support him. It's that simple. But I'm willing to help if needed. I'm willing to give him a chance to like put out some really good messaging and shit. And I'll reassess come November. But as far as because I didn't really get to touch on the Michigan shit show earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, and next week will be absolutely everything we didn't cover about the convention, like that we didn't. It won't just be Trump, because like the Trump stuff we will have plenty to talk about, plenty, and also the Vivek and RFK, blah blah blah. But we'll also be able to talk about like because the convention was just such a clusterfuck. There's too many clusters to fuck. So we'll hit all the clusters we have not yet fucked.
Right. I feel like I've barely even fully processed the whole thing yet. And it's been a couple days now.
Yeah. Take time, I'm sure there are some repressed memories. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I don't know if you guys would want to know what went down at that convention.
Yeah, just the smell.
Rose gave me nachos. Woo!
I appreciated you stopping into the Discord to let me say hi to Foe and Maj. That was pretty cool.
So
one good thing.
So Bread,
I'm an ANCAP man in ANCAPs.
Bread, you can give closing statements. Closing statements. And,
I guess I'm gonna keep to my regular messaging lately on this whole thing. This Libertarian party crap is not very important at the end of the day as far as the greater movement is concerned, and the people that are gonna show up when you call them. I don't want to see it pull people apart over some shitty ass game no one's gonna win anyways. Don't let it get you so riled up and and polarized that you end up taking shots at your fellow free folk. I wouldn't be very unity oriented. And it's only gonna serve this state. And in a lot of ways I still think that this kind of shit was kind of intentionally pushed. I guess plug stuff. I don't know, if you're a market anarchist or libertarian or anything else really, and you don't like all of this division and all of the political games, but you don't really know where to start and you'd like a digital collective, you can always look us up. Mad Liberty, that's the link tree is Mad Liberty EA, and on the Discord it's just the regular Discord link /MLTP.
Yeah, shoot
just
me
come
that
hang out
link.
with us. We'll talk to me. Which one?
The link tree. I'll put it in the any of your shit that you want the fuck. I'll put in the bio.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Kareem.
All right.
We need your shit for the fuck.
Yeah, we do. All right, I got a bunch of things to say. Unity does not just mean the Cindy Cat and the ANCAP man and ANCAP Sam and ANCOMs and the Primies and the Solar Punks all working together, which would be cool and should be. And my friend Kevin, who's half and half, so he can be a good diplomat. It also means that, hey, I'm going to give Unity a chance. Now, if Chase does a good job, obviously I'll praise him. If he does a bad job, it's a disaster, then I'll pull away. either support Jill Stein, Cornel West, or just not vote at all. Also, I think it's a good idea, in addition to reading Murray Rothbard, to read Bookchin and understand specifically, if you're going to take anything, his concept of libertarian municipalism, because that's a lot better than a first or second state secession. I'm like, that's not a good idea. But libertarian municipalism is a lot better. His ideas on social ecology and deep ecology are good. I don't necessarily agree with his communistic idea of rearranging property, but we can get past that. And as well, in recent events, Egypt has the right to defend itself. If you saw what happened, I think Egypt should take some kind of action. I'm not going to elaborate on that. Read the news, make the decision for yourself. You can find me, Kareem6633, on X, Twitter, whatever the heck is, anarchunity.com, which I'll be giving more articles to, since we got some time. So far, I'm pushing for Chase 2020 2020. And I guess last thing to say is keep working together regardless. I think anarchists take direct action. We can smash the state. And check out Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a social ecologist communal project run by a couple of prominent YouTubers. One who disagrees with me a little bit, called Anarch Daniel, and another one, Aaron, Re-Education. They're both ANCOMs. And also, I was on the Skeptical Leftist a week before the convention.
Throw me a clunk. I'll put it in the spunk. Rose.
Right. I don't really have anything to shill at the moment, so I'll just say, if you like my commentary and you want to connect with me, feel free to add me on Facebook or Discord. Or, conversely, if you hate me, feel free to also add me, and then you can tell me directly why you think I suck. Other than that, good night, everybody.
Talk shit to our face, pussy. Let me translate that.
Cindy, there's a pussy, Cindy cat.
Hody.
Boy, I just want to say I really appreciate everybody who was there. I know we have especially on this one, pretty severe differences of opinion. But I completely agree with like the unity message that Brett's talking about. Like, the more we divide, the easier it is to cut us up. You know, like, for me, I might be an anarcho-capitalist, but if that means no ANCOMs, then I'll throw the whole thing out. Like, anarchy is it, man. Like, I'm not. It's like it's like being a Christian, and I'm like, as soon as this means like, hey, let's kill the non-Christians, I'm like, nope, done. Like, I'm not throwing out my fellow man. I'm not throwing out my fellow human beings. You know, it's not wrong. It's not right. If these people are reachable, then let's try to reach them. And if they're not, that's God's decision. Like, I'm not going to tell somebody they're not reachable or whatever. I'm going to try my best. So I just wanted to say I really appreciate it. Like, Rose and Kareem, with like their pictures that they sent directly to our chat, made me feel really connected to like the whole weekend. And it meant a lot to me that she was, you know, they were sharing things that with somebody who isn't necessarily like, yay, erected wall, you know what I mean? Like, and they know it. And I just want to say thank you to both of you, because and Bryce for your commentary. It just meant a lot to me to have like you all in the chat and sharing stuff.
So it wasn't.
I look forward.
I was worried it was getting annoying because we kept talking about the convention shit.
Fuck that. If anyone's annoying in there, it's me. I got a whole time around. Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about next time, so I don't want to I don't want to go into the future. So I'll save what we haven't discussed for then. There was a brief moment here we talked about like, why is it libertarians don't like? Why is there cultural or social libertarianism? Why is bigotry irrational and repugnant? Aren't we just supposed to like leave that alone and let that be to the free markets? There's some really impressive literature on this that's been done through centuries of work, and compounded recently into a book. If you aren't interested in reading, it's called The Myth of Race. The Myth of... Just a life changer about how the state weaponizes bigotry to do very unpopular things. And this is why, you know, people like visionaries like David Nolan were so intelligent about this. And I will say this, even Hoppe and Rockwell and like post-Liberty Rothbard were aware of this as well. They just take a very different point of view on what is ethical or not. So they're like, oh yeah, let's smash that multiculturalism and black people and white people living next to each other. That's okay. No, it's not, right? Like, as soon as we're divided, it's over. Game's over, right? Like, diversity is such a huge strength in liberty. Like, being able to draw on, like, hey, whatever the best business is, get all the regulations and stuff out of the way. Those are the ones that are going to prosper. Whatever the best economy is, man, I will be so excited if the ANCOMs and the LibSocs are right and capitalism sucks and they develop an economic system that is, like, way better than mine. I'll join like that. I don't care, right? Let's let freedom decide those things. Let's let voluntary associations decide those things. Because the thing about culture is, as soon as you have a poor culture, the state uses it. Politics is downstream from culture. That's Breitbart. That's a right-wing quote, right? Like, the right wing is very well aware that it's like, hey, I can just say no government, though, at the end of it. You can say any bigoted thing, but as long as you go no government, though, at the end of it, you'll be okay. But literally, if you create a bigoted society, you will have bigoted politics. This is how culture works. This is why politics are downstream from culture. So this is why we have to talk about culture and address. I think we play defense too much about having, like, oh, is it okay that Chase is gay? Like, oh, is this let's embrace the whole thing. Let's be like, you're a Christian? Hell yeah, brother. You're an atheist? Hell yeah, brother. Oh, what are you reading this month? Oh, that's awesome, right? Like, let's embrace each other's differences in lifestyles and allow that to be our strength instead of our weakness. Like, I think the embarrassment about Rechtenwald lying about the trans people and the shooters is, it's just like, man, these are potential voters for everything else in your message. Do you think these people like being disarmed? Do you think these people like having food taken off their table by Joe Biden? Do you think these people like being complicit in a genocide? Like, these are absolutely within your points. So why lie about them? Why hate on them? Right? Like, embrace them and love them and welcome them into the movement. You know, on a lot of the pushback tonight, I of the things that I heard, there was 3. But all of us were like, oh, fact check, that's wrong, right? Like, 3 lies about Chase. This isn't going to get any easier, right? A lot of the information that's going around that can fool intelligent people are going to be lies. I've fallen for a lie before. I fell for that Alex Jones one. Remember you got the climate change activist blocking the road and somebody died in the ambulance. It turns out that wasn't true. That was Alex Jones pulling stuff out of his butt. I still don't like blocking the roads, but there's no reason to mix lies in with the truth, right? So if we got issues with Chase, that's cool. But I want you to do something. When you find out that Tim Pool lied to you, or Michael Malice lied to you, or shared some misinformation, even if they corrected or something like that, ask yourself why. Ask yourself what happened. Get to the bottom of it, right? Like, if somebody lies to me, I'm either not going to trust them for information anymore, or I need to get to the bottom of it. This includes myself. I've shared misinformation before because it confirmed my biases. And then I find out later, no, that's not actually Biden's guy at the Waco wreckage or whatever. I still don't like the guy, but I can admit when I'm wrong. You know, like let's have that going on. Lastly, I just want to say, especially in the case with Michael Malice, and this is a heartbreaking one for me because I do like Michael. He's got one of the best, like, if you're going to, he's got a great essay to give to right-wingers about abolishing the police because it talks in their language, which is important when we do sales. But just showing a man in a rainbow t-shirt and being like, look, guys, here's your next presidential nominee. That's some big fat gotcha. You can say it's not about the gay thing, but what is it? Do you hate rainbows? Do you hate purple? Bottom line is, I like Michael Malice's messaging most of the time, but I have to choose between a kid who is being bullied to death at school or Michael Malice. Or I have to choose between somebody right now who has a gay son and they are worried about what's going to happen to them or Michael Malice. Or I get to choose between somebody who's trying to get some care because they were born intersex and they're about to go through puberty as a gender that they don't identify with. And they're terrified because there are thousands of anti-LGBTQ legislation bills that are preventing them from receiving further care and will force them to go through a puberty that does not match who they know they are inside. I get to choose between that person or Michael Malice. Michael, I love you, but I don't love you more than them. Jesus said, as much as you do to the least of these, you've done unto me. Michael Malice might be some of the best of us, some of the most of us, but he is absolutely not the least of us. And when he's picking on people who are, I got a big problem with that. Chase Oliver stands up for the least of us. I hope I stand up for the least of us too. And that's why, as a Christian, I'm so excited about this. I'm kind of done playing defense at the moment. Like, I'm stoked. The lies are getting dissipated. Like, the people are revealing themselves who were never going to support him, whatever. And I'm ready to move on to offense. I'm ready to show people, hey, did you hear about Chase Oliver? Hey, can I talk to you more about, like, anarchist talking points? Maybe that door is open to you now, because all of a sudden the Libertarian Party is no longer the party that says get back in the closet. It says get out of the closet and join me. We're going to have a lot of fun. And that's the society that I'm looking forward to. I'll see y'all on Tuesday.
Absolutely, and potentially Sunday if you want to talk paleo shit. So I'll just say, great speech, and generally speaking, pretty much said a lot of the stuff I would have. So let me just finish by saying, if your opposition to somebody is not based on what they say, but what other people say about them, that's not opposition, that's cult shit. And I think as libertarians, one of the pinnacles, one of the sort of linchpins in our like mentality, and as an anarchist I consider myself a libertarian purist, should be truth. Because as I've put it elsewhere, like, truth is paramount. If you don't have truth, if you don't have like reason that is tempered by fact, you don't have anything. Like, if you don't have truth, if you're not like primarily seeking that factual information, then you don't have shit. Because, like, I've made the point so many times that liberty without truth is impossible, and truth without liberty is useless. Oh yeah, my internet chose then to fuck up. I've made the point so many times that liberty without truth is impossible, and truth without liberty is useless. Because if you have liberty without truth, then you can't tell the truth about what's being done to your liberty. So your liberty will be completely threatened. It's why censorship is so dangerous. It's why censorship is one of the key tools of fascism and evil fucking tyrannical dictatorships of all stripes. And truth without the liberty to spread it is useless. So if your organization is trying to suppress truth, then it is trying to suppress liberty. And if it is trying to suppress liberty, then it is trying to suppress truth. You cannot have a lying libertarian party. It doesn't work. Either embrace truth as the foundation of your mentality, and respect people who post facts, and respect people who like are putting in the effort, like Rose, like, you know, Kareem, like Bryce, like Hody, like Bread, and like probably like Eli too, on like the vast majority of occasions. If you're not trying to understand where somebody is coming from, and if you're not going to be good faith, and if you're not going to absorb what they're saying with any respect for the truth, you don't give a fuck about liberty. You'll control somebody based on bullshit. You'll help the enemy, and you won't care that you're helping the enemy because you get somebody. Then go fuck yourself. You're not on our team. You're not with the energy that we're trying to put out. And so if you leave, good. Make sure that once you leave, nobody can hear anything, Graham. Make sure that once you leave, you also go fuck yourself.
Looks like Kareem changed ideologies again.
Yeah, and he's also loudly crinkling his bag. So if you're not going to
very anarchist of him.
If you're not going to respect truth, if you're not going to respect truth, if truth is not the root of your philosophy, don't claim to support liberty. Because the whole root of libertarianism should be trying to achieve what no other philosophy has done before. and actually form a fact-based society. Actually form a society where people can speak boldly truth to power. Because if you're just speaking lies to power, you're no better than power is, and you're just trying to seek it. So, that's my point. My point is, be better than power, and smash the fucking state. I think that was it. One moment.
I'm an ANCAP man, ANCAP fan.
God damn it, Cream.
For the